Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Night Owl, a show that we do twice a week where we discuss all the latest in pop culture news, TV and movie reviews, gaming news, and just the general conversations of the day. For those who don't know me, I'm Price of Reason, and with me I have my co host, as usual, Professor R2. How's it going?
Well, I'm doing all right. Doing all right. I did not see any really terrible live action remakes of Disney movies today, so I'm probably doing better off than you.
That is probably true. I absolutely did see a remake of Disney today. I was there. I probably saw it in the first screening of the day or something, I don't know. There were surprisingly a few people there. When I say a few, I mean, like, maybe 5, you know what I mean? It's not like
Yeah.
it wasn't like a packed house, and mind you, this was like, an IMAX theater. It was something big. I don't even know if this movie is considered IMAX, but it was a really big screen, and c s I think it was like a fancy theater relatively.
Yeah.
It was, like, above the average theater, so you'd think that if somebody wanted to actually see this movie, this would be where they'd be watching it, and instead, what we got is, you know, we didn't, I just saw, like, a handful of people there, basically. But,
Yeah. I did actually check into I was looking at just curious, like how many tickets had been sold today were available. So I checked in on the local theater and I was looking at the prime time IMAX showing, right? And the biggest theater we've got here, nicest screen we've got here, and yeah, there were in that like 6:30 p.m., 7 p.m. showing, there were 9 seats that were sold.
I
Uh,
believe that.
there were a couple of the other theaters, or the cheaper theaters, that had some more seats sold in some of the similar times. But of course, that was pre-sales. This might be the kind of movie that people show up to. Just buy their tickets when they walk in, kind of thing. Not really buying them in advance, but still, it's like, yeah, not doesn't seem to be a lot of excitement around this one.
No, and I can't, buddy. I'm gonna talk about it, but, as
Yeah, we'll come
always,
back to that later.
we'll come back to it. I guess for now, the first thing that I noticed that was going on today, there was something with, Trump and education. Did you see that?
Yes, an executive order, essentially saying that you want to take apart the Department of Education. So that's really all I saw about it today. Uh, that there was going to be this executive order, and essentially they're trying to make a sort of an end run around Congress, essentially to say, well, we're not going to eliminate it. We're sort of going to restructure it in a way that it just isn't a department anymore. It's really weird. I don't know if you had a specific article that you read about it or.
No, I just saw that he was doing it, but I was kind of I thought that what do you think he did? He didn't end the Department of Education?
So, in order to actually like dismantle the department, since it was put together by an act of Congress, he would have to have them there to actually sort of get rid of it, right? It's sort of like the USAID thing. Like, to actually eliminate it completely would take an act of Congress. It would take them to say, "Oh, that we have to sign off on this, whatever, that it's not going to exist anymore." But what he's essentially done is, well, it had 4,000 employees. Now we only have 2 or 300, and it's going to be have different oversight than it had before, and it's going to be shifted over here under
So
this
so
other
that's the workaround
department.
for all the weird judges and weird stuff that's going on, right?
So, yeah, it's so let me find an article real quick.
No, but that's
We can talk
interesting.
about it. Yeah.
That'll be the business model now that he does it, and instead of closing these places down, he's just gonna, cut them by 90% or something.
Yeah, and so I think, I do believe, like, he does intend, like, in the long term to have to eliminate the department altogether, but, for now, he's doing something else. Let me see if I can find, well, here, CBS News. That'll be fine. Um, not the friendliest outlet to Trump, but that's fine. Doesn't need to be. So yeah, I shared an article there. We can kind of look through it together and talk about it.
Oh, okay, 1 second, let me okay.
Yeah. So Trump announced the signing of an executive order that would begin the process of dismantling the Department of Education, quote, once and for all, unquote. We're going to eliminate it, and everybody knows it's right, the president said of the department at the White House Thursday. He added, "We are not doing well with the world of education in this country, and we haven't for a long time." He's not wrong. Uh, so talking about the amount of money that's spent, more money per pupil, yet we rank near the bottom of the list in terms of success. That is also not wrong. Uh, he claimed that 70% of eighth graders are not proficient in their reading or math. 40% of fourth graders lack even basic reading skills. I've actually seen some of these stats elsewhere recently. Some of them claiming that like 80% of the workforce can't read above a sixth grade level. That's
Wow.
astounding, right? I mean, that doesn't mean that they're illiterate. It just means that that actual like the comprehension of what they're reading, the speed at which they're able to read, like is pretty stunted. I mean, you can just imagine how that's actually affected a lot of the workforce. I don't remember the exact statistics. I'd have to look them up, but it was something like that. It was wild how many people like they're not totally illiterate, but in a lot of ways, like functionally, like they couldn't pick up the New York Times and read it. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to get a lot of what's going on in reading more complex stuff. The president said the administration would be returning education back to the states where it belongs. That's a positive thing. He signed the executive order flanked by school children at desks on either side of him. The president held it up and invited Education Secretary Linda McMahon to stand with him on stage. Have you seen any of the interviews or any of the stuff with Linda McMahon, Price?
I think I've seen some of it, yeah.
So she's essentially has said that Trump brought her into the office, brought her in as the Secretary of Education to end the Department of Education. Like she's said this like out loud and like to the press. Like the reason I'm here is to get rid of this department. And that's, she's like, yeah, the reason I'm here is to get myself out of a job, which is fascinating, right?
Right. Well, maybe they'll still have something for her to do. I
Yeah,
mean,
who knows? Yeah. Let's see. So it says several Republican governors were on hand for the signing. In 2 months since Mr. Trump took office, the Education Department staff has already been slashed in half, and the administration is making plans to transfer some of its functions to other departments. So, right now, the truth is, right now, what the Department of Education does essentially is it takes in a lot of money that it then distributes to the states for various different purposes. It also handles the loan program, right? It handles like for student loans. It oversees the student loans and student loan forgiveness and variety of things there. So essentially, like they can't really make rules for all the individual states, but what they've done instead is they've started, instead of just dispersing the funds to states, now they're putting all sorts of rules on how the state can get that money. Like, oh, you have to do this, you have to do it this way, you have to do that this way. They've put a whole bunch of other stuff in place to say, well, you have to follow all of these things if you want your federal money. So instead of just, oh, we're going to make sure that every school gets the money that they need, it's like, well, we'll make sure they get it, but we're going to put all sorts of restrictions on how you get it so that you'll implement our DEI programs, or you'll meet what we consider to be, this standard or whatever. Because another part of what the Department of Education does right now is that not only does it oversee this money, it oversees the loans, but it also oversees civil rights and how those are managed, how those are supposed to be implemented in schools. So they actually go and investigate to make sure that every single area, every different district or whatever is meeting all of these civil rights codes and stuff. And of course that means that they can kind of decide how they want to you know check to ensure that that's that's working the way they want it to. And so it's given them the opportunity to use that cudgel against a whole bunch of different states and different districts to push all sorts of other ideologies onto those different, different areas. So this is what a lot of people have objected to in recent years. Not only have there been major failures like No Child Left Behind and other stuff like that, but there's a huge amount of the money that's in the Department of Education that's just getting hoovered up, just getting wasted on administrative costs. Not to mention all the administrative costs that happen when it gets dumped down into the states. And then, there's also been in recent years, especially with Biden, a lot of controversy about student loans and allowing forgiveness of loans for all sorts of weird reasons, or just oh, we'll just forgive everyone's loans for whatever reason, right? There are legit loan forgiveness programs that are in place, and they need to remain in place. They were put in place by Congress. Things like there's loan programs for, say, teachers that go in and they teach at low income schools, or they teach public schools. There are systems set up for loan forgiveness that have been there for quite some time. There's essentially what they call a public service loan forgiveness program, where if you work in a public agency, you go work for a school that is funded by the state, whatever, then in that case you're likely taking a pay cut as to what you could make if you were working in the private sector. And so if you work in one of those public institutions long enough, there's forgiveness there. So there's legit forgiveness programs, loan forgiveness programs out there, but it seemed to be one way that Biden was sort of misusing this while he was in there to sort of pay back a lot of what he considered to be supporters, right? But yeah, this is really interesting. I wonder if this order is actually on the whitehouse.org site yet.
Is it already there? You can check.
I'll have to go look here.
But what I get from all of this, and this is what I'm starting to feel, that every time they run into a challenge, even if it's a legal one, they're thinking creatively how to work around it. It's like it's become some strange cat and mouse game where they want to make changes, and then all these kind of activist judges jump up, but then they have their other workarounds and different things. And I guess they're really prepared. I guess Trump is really prepared to fight for a lot of these things.
Yeah, the whole thing with the judges has really gotten out of hand. We talked a bit about that on Tuesday, right? How there's just it seems like every little thing that Trump does, there's a judge that pops up and says, "Nope, you can't do that." And there is eventually, I mean, there's going to have to be a reckoning at some point where these judges are essentially told, you can't keep doing this because he does have he does have the executive power to make these decisions. And I've even seen there's been some really fascinating conversations going on online with do you know Ron Coleman?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, there's been some conversations he's been having saying, like, basically we're being held hostage by these judges. He's like, I don't necessarily think that a president saying we should impeach this judge, that's the right answer. But at some point, there's got to be something that we can do to check the power of these judges, because they're literally just, anytime Trump says something, they're going to turn around and say, no, you can't do that. And then all these activist judges are just going to keep trying to swat down any little action that he takes. And that could even extend, literally, that could even extend to Congress. Congress could pass something and the judges could say, nope, nope, that's unconstitutional. Dun, 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 but there has to be some sort of decision as to like what they actually have like in standing. Like can they even do that? Right? Do they have uh, do they have the authority to keep interfering with the executive branch in that way? Like, yes, the Supreme Court does. Like, they're the ones ultimately that determine something is constitutional or not. They can, but can just some judge in Texas just decide, "Oh, well, I wanna," every time the executive takes an action, I'm gonna swat it down with some order. I mean, it seems ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they'll figure it out. I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, I mean, if it takes time for them to finally, deal with all these things. I know that Trump's got lawyers out there left and right. The Department of Justice has people out there left and right, trying to work on all of these things and get them eliminated, get these judgments pushed, further up for appeals or whatever. But let's see. I can share this instead. So here's the actual order.
Okay.
Improving education outcomes by empowering parents, states, and communities. So, uh, talks about the purpose of the policy here. Uh, you know, nation's bright future relies on empowering families, engaged communities. Uh, it says essentially that they've got these federal programs, tons of money, unaccountable bureaucracy, and it's plainly failed our children, our teachers, and families. And I wouldn't argue that at all. I mean, there's such an enormous amount of money. 10, nearly 100x of what they were spending originally on the Department of Education back when it was introduced in 1979, and now the actual outcomes have just gotten worse over a long period. So um, it says taxpayers spent around 200 billion at the federal level on schools during COVID-19. Yep. On top of more than 60 billion they spent annually for federal school funding. So that's geez.
Oh,
Close.
wait.
Yep. What price?
Oh, I just saw something. It said like Sean Crummell. Did he
Oh, well,
disappear?
no. Oh, there he is. He's coming in.
Oh, he's coming in?
Yeah.
I was so surprised by the
Yeah.
message. I'm like, surely this can't be real.
Closing the Department of Education would provide children and their families the opportunity to escape a system that is failing them. Today's American reading and math scores are near historic lows. Yes, and Sean Cromwell being very thoughtful there, stroking the beard, thinking, yes, hey Sean, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah.
I heard low math scores and I was like, I'm an artist too.
Uh,
How's
yeah.
it going?
Yeah, doing all right. So yeah, we were just talking a bit about this executive order that came through today on trying to essentially eliminate the Department of Education, which is fascinating. So, um, closure of the department would drastically improve program implementation in higher education. The Department of Education currently manages a student loan debt portfolio of more than 1.6 trillion. This means federal student aid program is roughly the size of one of the nation's largest banks. Yeah, so it is big, and it's something that ultimately the Department of Education's main function can or should be returned to the states. So, they're right. The Department of Education is not a bank, and it should return banking functions to entities that could serve those purposes rather than trying to duplicate that. So. Closing the Department of Education and returning authority to the states. Consistent with the Department of Education's authorities, Secretary of Education shall ensure that the allocation of any federal Department of Education funds is subject to rigorous compliance with federal law and administration policy. Okay. So, returning authority to education to the states and local communities, they're really talking about like just getting rid of the red tape, right? And it says, shall to the maximum extent appropriate and permitted by law. So, they're doing their best to cover their bases here and say you can't, that a judge isn't going to be able to swat this down. Of course, they're still going to try. Clearly, that's going to be what they're going to try to do. But it talks about uninterrupted delivery of services and programs, right? That this is a priority. We're not trying to just eliminate this and leave everyone flailing. Activities receiving federal assistance terminate legal discrimination obscured under the label of diversity, equity, and inclusion in similar terms, promoting gender ideology. Yep, that we knew that was going to be a priority there. Nothing in this order shall be construed to impair or otherwise affect the authority granted by law to an executive department or agency, functions of the director of Office of Management and Budget. The order shall be implemented consistent with applicable law. The order is not intended to and does not create any right or benefit, substantive or procedural, enforceable all the legalese stuff there. So, yeah, essentially saying that what they're wanting to do here is take what has currently been set aside for the Department of Education and empowering the current head of the Department of Education, Linda McMahon, to start breaking down what the department does and sending that authority back to the states, sending that money directly to the states and letting them make those decisions. So, yeah, this is definitely going to be one that we're going to hear a lot of noise about tomorrow from the press and from a lot of Democrats. They're going to say, "He wants to take the money away from our children." It's
And then Phobos says, I guess if we all went to public school, we need R2 to read us the articles.
probably is Phobos. Yeah, there's probably a few people who
in any
could need
case,
that help.
what I see is that he's continuing. He said he didn't want the Department of Education. He shut it down. And not only that, he even whatever potential problems he may run into, he's kind of working around them. So he's kind of serious about the things that he said he wanted to do. He seems to be at least trying to do them.
Yeah,
we'll see. There's going to be a lot of people complaining and whining. This is going to be a big thing now. They're gonna go and burn cars, or I don't know what they want to do now, and they'll do a lot of weird stuff. Which kind of brings me to another thing that I wanted to bring up. That I don't know if you noticed this. I saw something today that Jimmy Kimmel had a lot to say, like about Elon Musk. I don't know.
Let me guess. He called him a co-president, and he said he was dumb, and he's the stupidest billionaire on earth. It's the same thing that absolutely everyone else has said. Like, I'm guessing.
I think that this is what it was. Let me see. It
was more dog whistling.
I have it. I'm gonna play it. Give me 1 second.
All right.
To try to share the screen.
Sean Green says, "I'd rather hear about this than Snow White for the 500th time." John, just wait.
Well, first of all, I've seen Snow White. That's different than what we were talking about. Like, at least I saw it and I have something to say about it.
Yeah, sure.
But let's see what this guy. Let's see what Jimmy Kimmel says.
Even been incidents of arson. Someone lit a bunch of Teslas on fire. And here's the thing. I get that people are upset. Burning a car might not be great for the environment. I don't think that's what they had in mind when they invented the electric car. In Las Vegas yesterday, someone threw a Molotov cocktail at a Tesla service center. At least 5 Teslas blew up, 1 from the Molotov and 4 because that's just what Teslas do sometimes. And no one should be setting fires. You could kill somebody. You could hurt somebody. Elon Musk might not care about other people, but decent Americans should. The world's richest man, has been trying to drum up sympathy for himself lately. His sales are down. His stock is down. Last night, he was somber as he went through this with Sean Hannity.
Tesla is a peaceful company. We've never done anything harmful. I've never done anything harmful. I've only done productive things. So I think we just have a deranged... there's some kind of mental illness thing going on here, because this doesn't make any sense.
Well, let me see if I can explain it for you. When you pull out a chainsaw to celebrate firing thousands of people, they get mad. It's just my God, I mean, this poor guy. You do 1, maybe 2 Nazi salutes, everybody gets all bent out of shape. Donald Trump today had...
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, the thing is that I think that it's fine to criticize or even laugh at people, and it could also be Trump or Elon Musk. Nobody, is immune to people making jokes or doing whatever. But this guy is supposed to be like a late night show host or something, supposedly, and the kind of trivialization of all these attacks happening on these dealerships. I think that there's something wrong with that, because keep in mind that people that have these dealerships, they're not Elon Musk.
Nope.
They just wanted to sell cars. They're selling cars. It's their business. You don't know who those people are. Maybe they voted the same way that whoever you are throwing bottles. Maybe it's somebody and bombs and stuff. Maybe it's somebody that voted the same way you did. Maybe it's somebody with the same opinions as you. You don't know who they are. This is a business. It's like Henry Ford, I believe, was considered not a very nice man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's things that Henry Ford has said and done and whatever. I'm sure that people would get upset about it, but you don't see people going around now and like, destroying like Ford. And forget about Ford. You know the history of like Volkswagen and like some of those BMWs and Audis. If you learned, the origin story of some of those companies, you would also, by the same logic, say, oh, I want to do all this stuff. But that's stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that you have to separate here that we're talking about people's businesses that are not Elon Musk, and doing this is just it's so inconsiderate towards your like fellow citizen, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And of course, there was also. Did you see the Tesla takedown call? Did you see any of this? These group of different people talking about how they're gonna take down Tesla, right?
I saw something like in the corner of my eye, but go on.
Yeah. So this is incredibly cringe.
So I'll make sure that I keep it short, but I am truly here.
Oh, by the way, this is of course Jasmine Crockett. I hopefully our next presidential nominee for the Democratic Party, one of the dumbest people in Congress, easily. She's hilarious.
I know you're dreaming of the AOC and
her and AOC, the Crockett AOC ticket. I want to see it. It's gonna be great.
For very selfish reasons. Starting with on March 29th, it's my birthday. And all I want to see happen on my birthday is for Elon to be taken down. Yes.
So I think everybody should really enjoy taking this guy down and the stock down. And because of the example it will set, nothing's going to. We are in an oligarchic country that's fascist and becoming more fascist every day, and that means people are going to die, and it's going to get as ugly as we can think. And the only way to stop that is if the people who have the money are afraid of us, the 99%. And it's the people who own the society.
You have money, you asshole.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's worth $50 million, something. Yeah, he's worth.
Oh, I didn't even know that was John Cusack.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder if John Cusack is maybe, I don't know. Does it look like maybe he's transitioning? I'm not sure. I
don't know. I did not recognize him.
We have to make them really afraid. And what's happening now with Musk is making them very afraid. And that's a good thing.
If we kill the Tesla brand, if we drive down the stock price low enough, we can force him to sell his stock to pay back the billions of dollars of debt that he took on to buy Twitter. This will drive Tesla stock into a death spiral. Tanking Tesla stock is a very solid strategy, and it's one of the only solid strategies that's really been articulated to deal with this moment. And if we're successful, we will collapse Elon Musk's wealth, and with it, his power.
So we need to be very clear about what our demands are, about what our bright lines are, and that we're not going to stop until Tesla is done with Musk.
Bring Solo and the Wookiee.
Tesla was permanently tarnished the moment Musk gave that Nazi salute and followed it with his brutal attack on the lives of ordinary citizens. And meanwhile, the protests will continue to grow. They won't stop until Musk is stopped. That means more people in the streets, more people learning the facts about his attack on our democracy, more people who aren't afraid of standing up to corruption and bullies.
This is something that hasn't happened very much in our country, and it's time to take down a man who's done colossal harm and will do more harm if we don't stop him.
So I'll make sure.
Wow, those are a whole bunch of like beta cuck losers like on that stream.
I'm just sad that the guy from Bill and Ted is in on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well,
John Cusack has been a mental case for years.
Oh yeah. He's totally sold out. He's a complete card carrying communist. So yeah, it's not surprising that he thinks that his being wealthy is a good thing, but other people being wealthy is a bad thing.
Always the people that have all this money are the ones that are whining about everything. I don't get it. And the thing is, criticizing Musk or not liking him, you're allowed to do that. This is America. You're allowed to do that. I'm saying, like, they're basically, how do they plan to take down his stock? The only way they can do it is basically they're encouraging people to do bad things to these dealerships and stuff. Keying people's cars and blowing up things. That's not a way to legitimately take down a company's value. You know what I mean? What they're calling for here is basically, to me, to my ears, it sounds like violence.
Of course.
That's absolutely what they're calling for.
It-
They're not. I mean, they're not going to magically damage Tesla's stock by just marching around with signs. That's not what's going to No, they're literally calling for people to go out and vandalize Teslas, to destroy private property, to burn and damage things. They were talking about some of the stuff that happened in that one of the attacks on one of these Tesla dealerships. They literally were shooting. They were firing firearms at the cars. So this is not just like, oh, someone out there, keyed the side of a Cybertruck or something, right? They're literally going out and vandalizing and destroying private property. That's what these people, that's what Jasmine Crockett, that's what these idiots on the rest of this call are calling for. They don't say it directly, but everyone who is listening to this knows exactly what they're saying.
It sounds very clear to me. I mean, how else do they plan on lowering its stock value? I mean, I didn't hear any ideas that they're like, well, let's clarify. We don't mean that we want this. We want to take his stock value down by doing this type of protest or something. But that's not what they were saying. They're just like, yep, let's take down his stock. We got to take him down. And nobody's saying anything beyond that. This is really, really encouraging. Maybe without using the very specific words, maybe carefully legally navigating around it. But as much as this sounds like encouraging people to do bad things, this sounds like it. And I will say again, Elon Musk is a very rich man, and I've said it before. He has a lot of influence. He has a lot of power. And when somebody has so much influence and power, I always, on one hand, I give him the respect, but at the same time, I also, you hope that everything's going to be okay. I'm not, falling asleep at the wheel or something. You know what I mean? It's still something that has to be looked at. At the same time, they're kind of seeing what a person does and monitoring a situation. That's very different than going and like blowing up car dealerships and stuff. You know what I mean?
But how will people know we're the good guys if we're not blowing things up?
Yeah, I've seen some memes that people were like, oh, this is the same thing like Bud Light. No, this is not the same thing as Bud Light. Bud Light, people said, hey, you know what? We're not going to buy that beer anymore. And then they stopped buying it. Now, if these guys want to do a Bud Light, don't buy Tesla. You don't like Tesla? Don't buy it. You know what I mean?
Most of us can't afford it anyway. That'll show them.
That's probably true. If they're so confident in this situation now, if they're so confident that they want to take down the stock, tell people not to buy the car. That could have been an easy strategy. If they're so influential, if everybody loves John Cusack and wants to hear what he has to say, he could have said, "Hey, I recommend that you don't buy a Tesla anymore if you don't want to support him." At least that's his worldview. I could not agree with it, but at least that's like, a viable plan without encouraging any kind of violence, right?
Yeah.
It's far too logical.
And the truth is, this is all rather hilarious. All right. Let's say they go out and they obliterate Tesla and its stock value drops by half. Major, issue for Tesla, right? Do you know how much Elon is going to lose? Do you know like how much that's going to destroy his wealth? Right now, he's worth about $330 billion.
Right.
If they tank Tesla stock, it loses half of its value. He's still $200 billion.
Right. I mean, I'm sure he doesn't want to lose that money, and and if you work hard, and you achieve that, you don't want to lose it. But yeah, I mean, I think that even if whatever happens with Tesla, it's not like all the eggs are in one basket.
No. Right now, he has more money tied up in SpaceX than he does in Tesla, significantly more. Only about 37% of his wealth is actually tied up in Tesla stock right now. So even if they just go out there and just destroy Tesla, first of all, destroy one of the best, the highest quality American-made electric car companies, right? Not only are they going to cost lots of people their jobs, they're here talking about Musk, like, getting rid of people's jobs, right? They're literally talking about destroying a company that employs human beings, and those human beings are going to lose jobs. Not just Elon Musk is going to lose money. There's going to be a whole bunch of people who are going to be out of jobs because they've decided to attack this company, right? So it's kind of ridiculous that they're we're gonna take down Elon, and they're completely ignoring the fact that they're gonna damage, like, there's all of these private owners of these Tesla dealerships that are out there. There's all the people that work actually building the Teslas and the maintenance and stuff. They're out there burning charging stations so that people who have Teslas, and by the way, other electric vehicles that use the same charging station.
Right, they use the same one. This is really, really dumb, and it's counterproductive. I really think that they stop with this. They gave examples. There was like, what a Target? What was it? One Target, and there was one other one. There was Bud Light, Target, and another one that they said that there was some kind of boycott. But I don't remember what the third one was. But in all of those cases, all you did was you didn't buy the product. Like, I guess what I'm saying is that they're claiming like, oh, we're being like Republicans now. We're trying to emulate their behavior, but that's actually not an emulation of their behavior. Bud Light, they just said we're not buying it anymore. That was it. Nobody went and like to a place that sold beer and started like causing damage there because
the closest thing
Bud
you
Light.
could say was like Kid Rock bought a bunch of beer and then shot it in a very large field.
Right, but the thing is that he had, first of all, he had actually
He'd already
purchased the
bought
product.
it. Yeah.
He actually bought it, so he can do whatever he wants with it. They didn't, well, there was one person that I guess bought a Tesla to destroy it.
Yeah.
And I guess if they want to do that, they can. It seems weird to me, but they can do that. You could sort of see that as an equivalent to the Kid Rock. But the guy that bought the Tesla and just started shooting it up, that's actually the guy with the least, that's the least of anybody's issues, because at least he bought it and he decided to blow it up. I personally think that the guy was fishy, like somebody set this whole situation up and bought the car and had him do this, because really, who's going to have money to buy a Tesla and then blow it up? You know what I mean?
Yep. Oh,
it
by the
felt
way,
very fishy.
Oh, go ahead. We have a Rumble rant from
okay.
Kivo 1961 for $5.
Oh, I see it now. Yeah, let me highlight it. Kivo 1961, X was just valued at $45 billion this week. Didn't lose a penny like everyone said. Would not bet against Elon. I agree.
Kivo is right. That is one. There's been that talking point that people have had for a long time. In fact, there was an idiotic Jasmine Crockett was out there talking about, oh, he's a terrible businessman. If I want a businessman to come in and help run the government and be efficient, I want somebody who knows how to do business, because X, since he bought X, it's lost 80% of its value. Oh, it did initially, but in the last couple of weeks, it was valued at between 44 and 45 billion, which is exactly what he paid for it.
And you know what? It actually makes sense to me that the valuation, because really everybody's using it. None of those other things that they said were going to replaced it. Mastodon didn't do anything. Neither did Threads, or at least not a serious like dent in whatever's going on here. You had Blue Sky, which is basically just a bunch of weirdos sitting there. And even they don't like sitting there because they don't have the interaction. It's like they know they're not where the action is. So, like Stephen King's like, I'm never going to come here again. I'm going to Blue Sky. You'll never see him again. And then he comes back and he's like, I came back. I just wanted to say this. I just wanted to say that. Why do you do that? If you don't care and you don't want to be here, leave. You know what I mean? Same thing with, I think Mark Hamill did something similar too.
Yeah, they just they went over to Blue Sky and found out that they had enough talking just to a bunch of PDF files. And so they came back to X. You know what I think is really funny is have you noticed recently, like, how many people using X are paying for it? It's a lot. I'm not sure what their actual subscriber numbers are, but whenever I'm looking at stuff, I go through and I see the blue check marks there. I'm like, man, like everybody is paying at least the small amount. To get the check mark and get a little bit less ads, and they're also getting access to to Grok and other stuff like that.
I mean, the latest version of Grok is also pretty good to have. It's like
it's
he's
quite
actually
good.
providing some kind of service now with that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good.
So yeah, I agree with you. Listen, again, I never said that the guy is perfect. I don't think that Elon Musk is a perfect person. Sometimes he could do stuff that I'll agree with. Sometimes maybe he'll do or say something that I don't fully agree with. But what I think objectively I have to say is, one, he's a good businessman. I mean, the guy, he's eccentric, but he's eccentric in a way that he's very smart, which makes him eccentric. And I'm not saying he's smart or maybe equally smart about everything, but I think when it comes to managing companies and making things more efficient, I would say that his track record suggests that he does know how to do that. What he'll do in the future, I can never vouch for anybody. I'm not going to, there's no person in the world that I'll say, I'm sure this guy will always be perfect and do perfect things, and everything this person does I like. I don't think that there's anybody like that out there. But as far as, just as a businessman, I think he's done a lot of good things. Even most people, if they just had SpaceX, that would be their life. You know what I mean? They'd be like, I'm the SpaceX guy. And everybody would say, wow, you're the SpaceX guy. Elon Musk is the SpaceX guy. He's Tesla and he's Twitter. And probably a bunch of other things, those kind of boring tunnels, and all this other stuff that he's working on, the robots. Like, he has a million things that are going on at the same time. And I don't think that he could make all those things successful if he didn't know how to do something.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people. When you talk to people that have worked with him, people that have, been on projects with him, been employed by him. He might not be the smartest man in the room, but he's not stupid, and he clearly knows how to identify talent. He knows how to hire the people that know how to do stuff, right? I mean, like I said, with SpaceX, nobody else is doing what SpaceX is doing. It's not all Elon, not even close.
Of course. Listen, even Steve Jobs, when he was in Apple, it's not all Steve Jobs, but sometimes you need a guy at the top that can make some decisions and hire the right people, make the right decisions at the right times. Being a manager of large scale operations, you have to know how to do it. I believe he does know how to do it.
Yeah.
The part that I'm not sure about is that, who knows? I don't know. Every person that has a lot of power, you don't know what they're going to do one way or another. For now, the things that he's doing with the government, it looks like being more efficient seems something that is a positive thing. And in any case, even if I didn't agree, even if he did something and I said I don't agree with this, I still don't think people should go and blow up car dealerships and stuff.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
I can't wait to see John Cusack post a video of him doing one of those acts.
You know what? Do it. Have him do whatever he wants, and then suffer the consequences for it. I think that what's going to happen now is they're going to start ramping up and being very serious about arresting people that are involved in this stuff.
They're going to have to be. I mean, this is quite literally. I mean, this is a type of.
It is
homegrown.
Yeah, and if you condone it and if you let it slide, it's a problem. That's never the solution. Like I said, if you're so confident in your crap, tell people not to buy the car. You can say, you know what? You want to show this guy that you're not supporting him? Don't buy a Tesla. That's all you needed to do. That's within legitimate. That's the same thing as the Bud Light, as the Target. And what's the third thing? Why can't I remember the third thing? What's the third one, Professor?
I'm sorry, what?
They keep mentioning that there's Bud Light, Target, and something else.
Oh.
And I'm wondering to myself.
Like they're boycotting? Or
it happened previously.
Oh yeah. Bud Light, Target, and
I don't remember. There's been so much nonsense.
Oh, the NFL. The NFL was another one.
The NFL that was okay.
Okay, I got it. This is the lefty. The lefties are trying to meme now, so let me see what
Oh no.
So let me try to share this. This is their big meme. Are you guys ready?
Oh, let's see. The left can't meme. Let's see it.
So they have this thing like boycott Bud Light, and then like the supposedly based person is just standing there, and they made like the more NPCs, like the ones with the MAGA hat on.
Yeah.
And then like boycott Bud Light. The guy says nothing. Boycott Target. The guy said nothing. Boycott the NFL. The guy says nothing. Boycott Tesla. And then, like, the MAGA people have a meltdown. But again, this is very disingenuous because Bud Light was a situation where you didn't buy it. Like people said here, the only thing you can think of is that Kid Rock bought one and shot it up, which he has a right to do. It's not necessarily what I would have done, if you want to ask me honestly. I don't buy cans of beers and shoot them up. But if somebody wants to do that and he's doing it in a space that affords him that opportunity, that's his right, Next, we have boycott Target. Target, if I remember correctly, they put a lot of Transformer stuff inside their store, and parents weren't 100% on board with that. And after a situation where they said, well, we're not going to buy a Target, they basically quickly started either removing it or putting it somewhere else or hiding it. I don't know what they were doing. And yeah. And in those cases, by the way, the boycott worked, right?
Yeah. Well, here's the funny thing, though. They're saying boycott Bud Light, boycott Target, boycott the NFL, boycott Tesla. They're not boycotting Tesla.
They're firebombing.
They are literally committing domestic terror and violently attacking these things, blowing up private businesses. They are not just, if they're boycotting Tesla, more power to them. Don't buy a Tesla if you don't want one. I'll be honest, I have no interest in a Tesla. I'm not going to buy one. There's lots of people out there who aren't going to buy one.
They're, first of all, they're kind of pricey. Two, I don't know, in my area, I don't know how easy it would be to charge this thing at this point. So between the charging and the fact that they're not, $2, for me, it's probably not the best fit. But I don't have any issue if you want to buy one, if you don't want to buy one. I mean, again, aren't all those people that are friends with Cusack exactly the type of people that would buy Teslas? Just tell them not to buy his cars if you're
now they're buying them so that they can make a show of getting rid of them. Because that's how they can gain their credit.
Like these guys here. I don't know I don't know what it says. It says
yeah.
Figure out what do you mean?
They're destroying an $80,000 car. Okay. Big deal. If they paid for that car, then great. I don't care. They can destroy it if they want.
I always thought that type of demonstration was stupid, even when it was like a movie you didn't like, and then you bought the DVD to burn it. And I'm like, well, it's like, that'll teach them. He still paid for it, idiot.
Yeah, it's like there used to be the YouTubers that would get all their clicks by going out and buying the newest iPhone and then walking outside and smashing it on the ground in front of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, it's so stupid. No, they can grab a Tesla, and if they paid for that Tesla,
oh wait, somebody fixed the meme. This is actually funny. Did you see this?
Okay, yeah.
So. Let me see if I can make it in a way that everybody could see it. So it's boycott Bud Light, boycott Target, boycott the government. I thought it was NFL, but never mind. Wow. And then the final one. Bird Tesla. That's funny. See, that meme is actually more representative in my opinion.
It is. It absolutely is. Oh, the left can't meme. They're terrible at it. It's hilarious.
Like, they don't even understand the point of this thing. You know what I mean? I don't even care if they had a smart meme. I tell you, you know what? Tip of the hat, they came up with something good. They're recently, in the past number of years, can't come up with anything. That's also how they lost the election. I think part of the reason that they can't come up with stuff is that they don't allow any humor anymore. They're so used to, like, not being politically correct and not being able to tell, like, half a joke that they've lost their sense of humor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, another thing that's been really funny actually is, have you seen the people who've been vandalizing, publicly vandalizing, like Teslas they find in parking lots and stuff?
The ones that are like doing the keying?
Yeah, there's that, and there's some that have been spray painting or whatever, putting stickers on cars, whatever. These people are so stupid; they don't realize that Teslas have cameras.
Right.
All over the freaking thing.
I didn't know that they had so many cameras.
They do have cameras.
And so a bunch of these people have been caught live on camera vandalizing people's cars.
You would think that word would have gotten out after like the first couple, but they keep doing it.
Yep. That like they're going to be the one that's not caught, right? Well, then they wear the masks, right?
And they wear the masks, but then they have like recognizable tattoos.
Right. There's a lot of stupid things. I personally, I never think this is a good idea. And this brings me back to what we were talking about last time, because this isn't the first time they've introduced this type of violence. The violence was also encouraged in 2020 after the issues with Mr. Floyd and the Summer of Love riots that came afterwards. I more than anything, and I've said this before, more than anything, the part that bothered me the most was that there were businesses during a time that a lot of businesses were going under and a lot of people were having trouble, and they went and started burning their businesses. In some cases, it was communities that actually, it was people that were from the same group as them. You know what I mean? Like, there were cases where, let's say it was a black business owner, but because they were so excited about burning down businesses, they would just burn a black person's business. And a lot of times when I saw this, and even I think a few times maybe I responded to some tweets or something, a lot of people like were telling me, don't worry, well, what are you worried about? Like, the insurance company pays. Like, what are you talking about? Screw you. Like, all these people were saying that to me. I'm like, you're ruining people's business. And if you ever had your business burned down, good luck calling one of those insurance companies and quickly asking them to like give you all the money back and make sure that there's a business there 5 minutes later. Basically what I'm saying is that they're ruining people's lives that are not Elon Musk in this case, or in that case it was because of Floyd. I'm saying, you don't know the person that has this business. What are you ruining their lives for? And also, like I said with the car, the person that buys the car, they're not getting married to the person that invented the car. Like I said, if that were the case, there would be a lot of problems with a lot of cars. There's a lot of really shady people with like car companies or started car companies, shady past, shady history. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah. I did see a funny meme. It was something like mostly peaceful Tesla burnings or something like that. Mostly peaceful arsonists burning down, whatever. You get the point, but...
by the way, I see that Istophobos sent a 99% pile of poop with a face. Let me see if I can make this more official. And then here. So I put that here. Istophobos. And also Istophobos has been a member for 2 months.
Yes.
So
he says it's a Tesla poop emoji.
Tesla poop emoji, cool. So yeah, first of all, great. Thank you very much, Istophobos. And I actually, when I start talking about the Snow White, which will be soon, I'm going to invite Istophobos, who actually saw the movie, so he can share a few.
Oh, Istophobos saw it as well, huh? Okay.
Right. At least then I'll know if I'm like an echo chamber or somebody else feels a similar way to me. He sent me a link. I didn't have time to look at it. I think he had given some kind of review online on one of those sites, and I think he really didn't like the movie from what I kind of see. Very quickly I looked at it. I didn't like it either, but we're gonna get to it soon. Anyhow, just to sum up this thing, I think that this rhetoric is annoying, and I think that if the Democrats don't want to present themselves as this kind of extreme party that incites these type of actions, somebody should really step in here and say, hey, you know what? Do stuff that's like I said, don't buy his cars. And the fact if people want to buy 80,000 car and destroy it with a crane, that's on them. To me, that seems stupid. It seems like either people with too much money. Forget about doing the thing to Elon. The thing with Kid Rock, you can say whatever you want. Any one of us in 5 minutes can go downstairs to the store and buy like a can of Bud Light or a case of Bud Light. What is it, like, $15? I don't know what it is these days, depending on the bodega or whatever it is. But I'm saying you could just buy something downstairs and just put, if you wanted to destroy it, you can. Something between $10 to $20. You're buying something for $80,000 and just to ruin it. There's something about it that makes you seem more of a douche.
But they're really going to drive down the stock because they keep buying them to destroy them.
This is almost like a South Park. I'm surprised. I don't know if South Park are on hiatus or something. This seems like exactly the type of thing for South Park. I'd be so interested in seeing what they would do with this.
Well, we also got a super chat from the Dead Man.
Ooh, I see the Dead Man. Yes. Also a 99% poop thing. Let me see if I can share this. Let me try to
share the poop.
Share the poop. Yes.
Share the poop with everybody. We want everyone to share in the poop.
So yes, we got the sharing of the poop here.
Yes.
Here, giving them their own kind of space. Is to Phobos with a poop, the Dead Man with a poop. Thank you both.
A lot of fiber in this chat.
Empress NM wants to know what the mileage is on an electric poop. Oh, we got another one from the Dead Man.
Oh, wow. Okay. What's going on there? Oh, yeah, I see. Do better, Senator. I'm trying to do better. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do, Dead Man.
You got to do better, Senator.
You got to step up. Man, to this day, that has to be one of the cringiest, if not the cringiest thing that Disney Plus has ever created. That and maybe the power of one, the power of many.
Oh. You know who needs to do better? Captain America and Brave New World. They still haven't broken $400 million yet.
You know what? I don't think they will. I was generous. Nope. I said 400 to 450. Yeah, I think you, Professor, said you didn't even think it would get to 400. What are they on now?
My initial one was 450. But now, right now, looking at the numbers, looking at how much it's making each weekend, how much it's pulling it, I'm betting that it probably stops between 396, 398. And then it peters out. Who knows? Disney might be really intent on getting this over the line to 400. And maybe they're going to buy up a bunch of tickets using marketing money so that they can push it over the 400 million mark, so that they can say, "Oh, look, see, it made money."
By the way, I see that Empress NM sent a 99% poop sticker. People are big on the poop today.
It's all about the poops tonight.
I appreciate that. So what's the exact number? What's the exact number for
right
Captain?
Now?
Yeah,
worldwide box office right now is at 390 million, 747.
They're going to bring it to 400 somehow, and then they'll shut it down, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, it's gotten, I'm assuming that pretty soon, I mean, they've already lost close to 1,000 theaters, that it's showing in. I'm guessing after this next weekend, it's going to lose a lot more, because they're just not going to want to waste screens on this movie anymore. It's only making... It's only making about $173 a theater right now.
What's even coming out though? That they would need the screens.
Oh, I don't know.
Like, I heard there was what was it? There's that Alto Knights one that just came out, and then like Ash, which I had never seen a trailer before. I have no idea what else is coming out.
There's well. We've got Snow White, right?
Wait, before we do anything, I want to give a shout out to Elizabeth Quince. Last month, my husband gifted me 9 shares of Tesla stock for my birthday. Cool and nice to see you here. Just wanted to say hi. And then, what were you saying, Professor?
No, I was just saying there's Snow White. I mean, that's about the only other thing. There's a few other things that are coming out soon, but. I don't know that many of those are going to be very big.
I'm just like, why would they take it out of the theater if they got like nothing else happening? And Snow White isn't even really going to do that well.
Do you think that? How did your theaters? What did it look like today? Did you see a lot of people going there
for Snow White?
Yes.
The one show had like 4 people. Another one, actually, there was one show that had 2. And there's another show that had 15. 15's about the most that I saw.
I see. I went to like I was telling the professor, I went to like a place. It was an AMC, and they have like something that seemed like an IMAX theater. It seemed like a really big theater. I thought it said IMAX, even though I didn't really know if this movie was an IMAX, but the screen was big for some reason. And I was there, and I guess what I'm saying, that was like the fanciest one in the whole joint. It was like a fancy theater, so I think that people were interested. A lot of them would be there, and there weren't a ton of people there. There were some people there, but there weren't a ton of them. Considering how big this thing is, it was a really kind of limited audience.
But
And
I still don't understand this Thursday release, and they always count that as like the opening weekend. I'm like, at what point did that all change?
At some point, somebody tried that maneuver. I don't know when, and it's probably been already like 10, 15 years. I don't know how long they've done this game. I personally don't like it. I think that I liked when it used to be Friday. Once they started Thursday, it became a little bit, fishy. But that's what they do now. They do the Thursday and count it as the Friday. It helps them boost their numbers and feel good about themselves. But yeah.
And then they even try to lie about that. They end up like stretching their opening weeks.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is our opening weekend. And it's like, it's been out for like a month. I'm exaggerating, but
yeah. Also, when it's like a holiday weekend, so they're like, they start on Thursday, go this, they go that, and then they're like, well, this is the best movie ever to have like a 7-day opening weekend that did this amount of number, and you're like,
wait a minute,
7 days? No, but you're right. It seems like sometimes they have like a 7-day opening weekend.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean.
I think Culture Casino talks about it all the time, and it just, I know, I don't know, I don't get it.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think what happened. What really finally pushed everything into this Thursday release during the day, they used to do a lot of midnight showings. Remember, on Thursdays,
Oh yeah,
that they would do the midnight showings, and then back in 2012, there was the shooting in Aurora at a midnight showing.
Oh, is that what that was?
And afterwards, they really stopped doing those midnight showings, packing the theaters like that, and so then a lot of theaters moved into doing just a general release on Thursdays. That's kind of like the first day. And so instead of the really that late night premiere,
because shooters don't come out in the daytime. I get it.
Well, if you also don't have theaters that are just packed to the gills, because everyone's there to see that very first showing at midnight. But But that also has let them, stretch out their opening weekend to include a whole extra day of showings.
Honestly, if I had to stay till like 3 a.m. for a show like that, I'd be so mad.
I agree. Somebody joined us?
No.
Oh. Well, I did send somebody a text. Let's see what happens. I sent this to Phobos a text.
Oh, okay.
Because he saw Snow White and I did.
Yeah.
So I thought that.
Well, before we get to Snow White, what else is there anything else we need to cover tonight?
Let me see. What was our thing? So Trump focuses on education, went through that. Jimmy Kimmel versus Elon Musk, and just general, all the Tesla stuff. I think we went through a lot of it. Then we have Rachel Zegler Snow White review. That's where we're at just about now. And hopefully Istophobos will join us.
Yeah.
I guess in the meantime, you can tell a joke, Professor.
Sean's the one with all the jokes.
What is it? The pirate? Or it's not the or, it's the sea.
Oh, well, just give away my punchline then. Jeez. Killjoy.
Okay, Istophobos is joining. But the question is if Istophobos, if he has any kind...
What in the world? Did my camera just disappear?
Did it?
Can you still see me?
I can still see you, yeah.
Oh, I see you, but your background's not moving.
Can you hear me?
What's not?
Oh, we can hear you, Istophobos.
We can hear you. Yeah, I think your background wasn't working.
I'm using an aviation headset mic instead of my normal one, so I wasn't sure how that was working.
Is this your? Did I put the right one here, Istophobos?
I'm looking. I don't.
Over my crown, do you see like a
Oh. Well, that's the old one, but that works too.
That's what we have on file, and I feel like it's going to be okay.
Yeah, I'm
gonna fire that.
I'm not. I can switch to the other mic if that works, but this one.
No, whatever you have is fine. I can hear you. I hope Professor can return.
It looks like he's already there. He just doesn't have a.
Yeah, but he's been neutralized.
Something is going weird with my camera here. Hold on.
He's been Tesla'd.
He's been shot by a Jawa.
I did want to mention something about Tesla. Did any of you see the Tim Walz? He talks about putting the stock app on his phone to watch Tesla stock go down.
Right? Yeah, I saw that. I saw that annoying thing. You're right. I forgot about it. Wasn't it also something he was talking with like Gavin Newsom? Or is those two separate things? No, one, he was talking about the app, and two, he was talking about Gavin Newsom, and in both cases, he was super annoying.
Right, but he was acting like it was some kind of own. Did you know 4% of his state's pension is in Tesla stock? So he's literally celebrating all the people working for his state, like taking a dive in their pension.
Nice.
Right. You know what? Let me see if I can find. There was a lot of crazy Tim Walz stuff today.
That's all these unintended. That's what happens when you root against, yourself. You root against the country, your state, your fellow Americans. You almost always end up showing just how stupid you are and how ill-considered your ideas and thoughts are.
Yeah, here I'll share this real quick, Price. Before we get started, this is something I saw earlier this evening.
Is it the Walz thing?
It's talking about the Walz thing, but it's Kevin O'Leary actually just talking about the whole Tesla thing.
When you set a car on fire, you should go to jail. You're a criminal. I don't think we have to talk about it in any other context. And all those cars have cameras in them, and those dealerships have cameras. You're beyond being stupid when you do that. You're going to go to jail, and you now have a government that just got their mandate. They can't wait to find idiots that do this. You're going to spend 5 to 20 years in prison. If they get them on terrorism, which I think is a stretch, they will have no parole, no shortened sentence. They'll rot in hell in prison for 20 years. And frankly, as far as I'm concerned, that's okay. Breaking in, shooting a car, setting on fire, nothing to do with the politics, nothing to do with Tesla. You are a criminal. You should go to jail.
Question about the protest factor. I mean, you heard
what protest? You're a criminal.
I'm talking about Tim Walz and his comments about the Tesla stock. He says it gives him a boost to see that stock going down.
That poor guy didn't check his portfolio and his own pension plan for state. It's beyond stupid what he did. He's talking down a 3.5% weighting in his own pension plan. I mean, what's the matter with that guy? He doesn't check the well-being of his own constituents in his state. I mean, that's their investment fund. Point, what a bozo.
The minute.
It's very, very true. Kevin O'Leary is brilliant, and watching him just tear into these people on CNN sometimes is an absolute treat.
So
the other thing.
There was this thing.
Oh, I know some of you know this from the iPhone. They've got that little stock app. I added Tesla to it to give me a little boost during the day. 225 and dropping. So,
guys, it's preferable.
And
my voters are on.
And if you own one, we're not blaming you. You can take dental floss and pull the Tesla thing off, and take out. Just telling you.
Yeah, automotive tip.
I know some of you know this on the iPhone.
A man's man.
We're not blaming you, but we will burn it in the parking lot after the show.
There was one other thing that he said that he was too masculine or something like that. That was also weird.
Oh, yeah. He said he would kick all of MAGA's asses, that he's such an alpha male.
And he's talking like Gavin Newsom. Weird. First of all, and I've said this before, I don't mind the people are sharing and laughing the videos. Gavin Newsom, and this is like, I'm not talking about any politics, just whatever party, I don't care about anything. I personally do not prefer this guy as a politician.
Oh, yeah.
It's not even because of his political views. It's that there's something about him that doesn't rub me the right way. And the fact that he got himself into such hot water with what was happening in LA, and instead of dealing with the issues that he helped create himself, he's doing this podcast show to try to restore his image. I don't know why this, like, it's just, it annoys me even more.
Yeah, Gavin has that used car salesman vibe all over the place.
He could sell Teslas.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have the clip of oh, here it is. This is
Here
great.
it is. Yeah, let me see if I can put it on.
But I think this notion of toxicity in masculinity needs to be separated. And I think it's been conflated. And I think we're going to have to work on that a little bit. And I think there is a crisis.
I think some of us scare them. I think I scare them a little bit why they spend so much time on it. No, I'm serious, because I can fix a truck. They know I'm not bullshitting on this. Yeah. I'm not putting this in people's grill. I don't know if my identity is not hunting. My identity is not football coaching. My identity is not, a beard and a truck.
But I think this notion of toxicity in masculinity needs to be separated. Okay. And I think it's been conflated.
I mean, this guy's such a weirdo.
If my son was playing football, I'd be scared of him because the guy just gives me the creeps.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, do the one where he asks about misogyny.
Which one?
Where Gavin Newsom says we have to engage with the guys, and Tim goes, "But isn't that just misogyny?"
Yeah.
Like
you sound really far off of your mic, Istvovos. Are you sure you got the right one selected? Because you sound really far off.
No, I'm not sure.
You do seem kind of far away.
All right, I'll fix it.
It's not the end of the world, but I don't know.
I just think he probably had the wrong mic selected. Didn't know it. It happens. Happens all the time.
Yeah, that's happened to me before too. Did you have did you have headphones? I thought that's what you were saying.
Oh yeah, how's that?
No, still sounds like it's
It sounds like you're far from the mic. So if you're far from it, it's cool. But if it's like something that it was supposed to sound like you're not far, then you have the wrong one.
All right, testing 1, 3, 2.
There we go.
Okay.
All right, better, much better.
No, it's just Walt sounds like Gavin says, "Hey, we need to find out what these guys' grievances are," and Walt goes like, "But aren't they just misogynists?" As if like they don't vote and they don't. I mean, my party said they were misogynists, so I don't see why we should listen to them. Kind of like, the guy like makes my skin crawl.
Oh, Waltz is just a creep. He's so weird.
Gavin's a sleazeball, but Waltz is literally makes my hair stand on edge.
Let's see.
I think there's a lot of that, but I don't think it's exclusively that. When you talk to a guy like Steve Bannon, he reminded me a little bit of my grandfather when he talks about working folks and he talks about how we hollowed out the industrial core of this country. But I understand that. But we can dismiss the notion of election denialism. We could completely dismiss what he did on January 6th, but I don't think you can dismiss what he's saying. Reminds me a lot of what Bernie Sanders was saying. Reminds me a lot of what Democrats said 20, 30 years ago. I mean, he's arguing against
Musk, right?
So many weird things were said in that place.
He hates Musk, so I guess it's okay.
Yeah, as long as he hates Musk.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as he hates Musk, it's okay.
I think he looks like he should be on a sitcom.
But I think this notion of toxicity.
Yeah, we saw this one. The one they're talking about account. I believe you.
As long as he supports tampons in men's restrooms, that's okay.
Yeah, and they call Vance the weird one.
Yeah.
Right. Listen, I only focusing on the Gavin thing. If I had voted for this guy into office and I was actually there, and this guy is doing podcasts and trying to prepare himself to be president, even though he did a terrible job everywhere he went, that would really annoy me, personally. And sometimes there's people that are strange, that they're like, there are people that probably still support him, that because he's a Democrat, they'll be like behind him no matter what. There's probably some people that still would vote for him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they tried to recall him, and he didn't get recalled. So, I mean, he still has supporters, which just baffles me.
Baffled.
I think that was probably fishy too.
They're so brainwashed that they can't even, and like I said, I want to make something clear that like there's only a few politicians that what I think about them kind of transcends politics. In his case, they're, like I said, I don't care what party he is. There's something about him that I don't prefer.
You will never convince me that the California wildfires was not a land grab with how enthusiastic he was afterwards.
He seemed really, and if not, then there's something weird about him. There's something odd about his behavior,
And I lived in San Francisco. Once Gavin Newsom became mayor, you couldn't walk in Golden Gate Park after the sun went down. It was like a literal city of homeless people. It was before that you could walk through the park late at night, early in the morning. It was still dark. You didn't have to be afraid, but you saw the tent cities growing and growing, and the smell of urine on the sidewalks, and homeless people sleeping in doorways of stores, and the shop owners who have to pay taxes and all. They can't get rid of they can't open for business. There's a little tent city in their doorway.
Yep.
And they spend all this money, and the problem just gets worse and worse so I don't want that guy in charge of the checkbook.
Yeah. I wonder when the time comes, probably the ones that are going to run in 2028, he's a candidate, AOC and Crockett, whatever her name is, those are probably the ones that are going to be running, I guess.
Do our listeners know what a check and a checkbook is?
Yeah.
Because my son doesn't know what tape is, except if you're putting a package together. I said, do you know what an album is? He's like, yeah, it's a big black CD that old people use.
That's funny. That I don't know you made me feel old now just by saying that. Rocket fuel. He's just a effing liar. Yeah, he comes off that way. He's the ultimate used car salesman, Gavin Newsom. Honestly, if I was making a movie now and I had to cast somebody that'll be a used car salesman that's very slippery, and Gavin Newsom walked onto the set and he said he'd say, I want to play this role, I'd probably give him the role.
He's definitely like the bad guy in an Adam Sandler movie.
Totally. It's like you couldn't have invented this guy. He just gives off that vibe, and nothing he does kind of strays from that narrative, in my opinion.
Did you see the Kurt Russell movie Used Cars? From way back in the day?
Oh yeah.
He totally has that energy.
Yep.
I haven't seen it. I must confess I haven't seen that movie, which is rare because I've seen a lot of I've seen a lot of random things, but I didn't see that.
Oh yeah, Kurt Russell, it's awesome.
Plastic personality. I've had to explain records. Sounds right. Yeah, it's weird. I mean, once I don't know. I think I saw a video that somebody gave kids a rotary phone, and they didn't understand what they were supposed to do with it. And it was just so strange that they didn't know.
Oh yeah, there's been react channels on YouTube forever, where there's been the kids react to whatever, and some of those where they give them older technology is hilarious. There's a brilliant kids react video out there of them showing them an Apple II and trying to get them to actually use an Apple II. They're like, okay, turn it on, and they're looking at it they can't figure out how to turn it on. They're trying pressing buttons. It's the switch is on the back. They're like, what? I just confused as hell. The switch on the back. They turn it on. It doesn't do anything. They're like, well, you have to put a disc in, before it can do the. What? It's just hilarious.
It is funny. I agree with you.
So I was babysitting my niece, and she was about 4 or 5, and I was reading her a storybook, and it had illustrations. So she sit on my lap. I put the book down, and she puts her fingers on the picture and pinches out of the book.
Yes. Okay, I'm guilty of having done that. I've been looking at a magazine or something, and I'm like, I want to see more detail on that picture, and I go, oh my god, I can't believe I just did that.
I've been drawing and wanted to hit Control Z, and then realized that that's not an option.
Oh, I want to do that with my life, especially like when talking to women. No. Undo.
Well, speaking of women, we maybe that's our segue into Snow White.
The women, so many women, all the women. So yeah, tell us about I guess we've got 2 people now who've seen Snow White. So I guess Price, you want to get us kicked off? What's your overall impression?
My overall
of the movie?
impression is this. It would be simple for me to just flat out say it's the worst movie ever. It's like it's the worst thing ever. That would be the simple thing to say. In my opinion, this wasn't a situation like, I've seen movies that I thought were worse than this. I've seen Disney movies, Disney remakes, Disney animated movies, different things that I've thought less of than this movie. There are certain things in this movie when it comes to the production. Some of it, I think that it does things that are at least okay. But the problem is that it also has a lot of issues. And the main issues are a lot of the things that we've been kind of suspecting that are going to be a problem end up being a problem. For starters, the 2 actresses are miscast. Rachel Zegler, I don't buy her as Snow White. I think that I'm not saying she's the worst actress for this type of musical, and she can certainly sing the songs. She just doesn't give off the Snow White vibe. I watched the animated one the other day. Snow White is supposed to be like, I'm sorry. I'm not saying maybe to some people she's like cute or something like that. I'm not saying that she's like disgusting. I'm just saying that Snow White has to be like unimaginable beauty. You know what I mean? Like it has to be something that you're just blown away by the beauty here. And in order for this to work, they also changed the idea that fair is no longer who's the fairest of them all, like who's the prettiest. It's like who's the fairest. So what they did in this movie is she's the fairest because she's fair to other people. Like she acts fairly. Like do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
This is a real thing.
The fair.
This is a real thing. She's fair to other people, which makes her the fairest of them all. And this is so weird because the evil queen was never fair to anybody. So why would she initially be the fairest of all the queen if she's not fair at all? And then why would the title go to Snow White?
And why would she care? Why would an evil queen care?
Right. Why would she care that the other one is more fair than her if she's like fair with she does like fair business with people? Sorry, Sean, who gives a shit? You know what I mean? Exactly. Why would she care? Why would this even be an issue? This is one of the things that really is an issue within the storytelling here. Not to mention the prince is now like a thief. She has to like initially rescue him. He's totally. They deleted the songs that she even sings that she wants to be a prince. The idea now is it's not that she wants to be a prince. She wants to be a girl boss, and everybody around her is sort of helping her. So at the end, she'll be like the final girl boss at the end.
Yes,
that's what the movie is going for.
She needs she needs to come into her power as a woman to be the girl boss her father always meant her to be. Yeah. What were your impressions, Istvobos? What was your overall impression?
Well, I was shocked that they didn't actually use the term "stunning and brave" during the movie. But the thing that astonished me the most about the movie was that they had set it up for a sequel, and I just that was the funniest part of it. So I think what Price was describing. It was the same with Captain Black Ant Falcon. Once a story is like a finely crafted brick wall, and once you start making changes, you end up with holes in the wall, and then you find yourself having to do a messy job of spackling. So her name's Snow White. They can't change that. But once they didn't make her white, they have to have this contrived explanation to
that she was born during a
her
blizzard.
name. Yeah. Why didn't they tell her? Why didn't they call her "It's snowing, bitch" or something like? But
Blizzard girl.
All right, but we can't worry about beauty because male gaze. But the thing is, the evil queen's power literally comes from her beauty. So it doesn't matter if Snow White is the most just and even-handed leader. Like, that's an evil queen's not going to care as long as she's not
because
beautiful.
she's not that. The evil queen just wants to be evil. She wants to be the opposite of fair. Why would she even ask the mirror this stupid question? She doesn't give a shit about it. You're right. That is the main issue here.
Yeah, and the idea is that the original Snow White's superpower is kindness. So I agree, you couldn't get more miscast than that just spoiled brat, entitled narcissist brat. The moment I'm gonna let's be clear, I am not kindly disposed towards her. I'm not gonna give her the benefit of the doubt, but after the whole Oscar debacle, I just I don't really think I could give her a fair shake. She can definitely sing, but I don't like her voice. Her voice is just like her personality. It's overbearing. It lacks subtlety and sincerity. So, but here's the thing. Musically, the songs were okay. Lyrically, they were abominable. Like, I'm convinced the lyrics were written by AI. And so
or Lin-Manuel Miranda. Either one is equally dull and uninteresting.
Okay, the movie actually wasn't. It was long. It felt like JFK plus like another 4 hours, but it wasn't the most horrible. Like it wasn't the most horrible movie, but it certainly was, considering what it's supposed to be, which is Disney's flagship film, the thing that made them famous. It's
right.
It is such an insult to the original Snow White. I wouldn't know where to begin. I've seen porno versions of Disney movies that were less insulting than this was to the original Snow White.
I agree with what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying, and I think that's what I walked away thinking. If this was called Princess in the Forest, I think that nobody would care one way or another. They could release the movie, and maybe you'd say it's not worth $500 million. It doesn't look like a $500 million movie, but if some kids want to see it, it's fine. Now, and maybe I would even give it a barely passing grade if it was called Princess in the Forest. The second that it's called Snow White, and they're actually trying to remake that classic, that timeless classic that I just watched recently, and it's still a classic, the fact that they're trying to pretend that that's that, but shove in all their stupid agenda crap and weird changes, that's really the part that ruins it. So if you're walking in thinking, let me see a proper Snow White remake, you're not going to get it from this movie.
And if it was titled Wicked Evil Leather Queen Dominatrix, I might even see it twice.
Right.
Are there still dirty hippies in the movie, or did they get rid of them entirely?
Okay. Let me explain.
They're dirtier. Oh,
they're even dirtier. Let me explain what I believe happened. What happened was, initially they auditioned. This I know personally. This is like I know this from behind the scenes kind of industry. I know for a fact, and also it's been documented even online. There was a situation that Disney actually auditioned little people to play the roles of the seven dwarfs, and this was going into like advanced, their auditions, things like that. Things are happening with it. This wasn't like a half-hearted effort. This was a real thing that was happening. Peter Dinklage suddenly says whatever he says. Disney decide to change direction. All the people that were hoping for a role, like they don't even get any callbacks, nothing. Nobody pretty much says anything to them. They're done. Next, so what they said, instead of the little people, we'll have one little person, but the rest will be like the diversity gang or whatever you want to call them, the hippie, the hipster diversity gang. So sorry, I don't know how else to describe them. I don't have anything against diversity in general, but I don't know how else to describe them. I mean diversity when it's organic, of course, but you guys know what I'm saying. In
Not
any
the
case,
Burger King Kids Club.
The 7 Starbucks employees that deal on the side.
Fair enough, but whatever you want to call them. In any case, they hired them. They thought this is a perfect solution. There's a bunch of diversity. There's one little person. We're giving it, we're evening things out. We're being inclusive, blah, blah, blah. They all kind of, probably did a toast at whatever cocktail party they were at in Malibu. They all like did a toast together, and they thought they solved the problem. But then somebody released like a leaked photo from the set of the hipster diversity gang, and then it became like an online joke that received really poor reception. So at this point, it seems like they said, okay, we're going to they delayed the movie by a year, initiated a ton of reshoots, and said, you know what, we're going to take the dwarfs, make them CGI. But then they had another dilemma. What are we going to do now? First of all, people saw that thing. They saw that picture. So what are we going to do? We're going to fire them. So then these other people that like are diverse are going to say that we fired them. So now they're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. So I'm just guessing that they said, okay, what do we if we keep everybody in the movie? We let the diversity gang do something that seems to justify their existence, while we also keep the CGI dwarfs, and then everybody's happy. The only problem is it's kind of a mess. You could tell there's something fishy about it. It doesn't seem to make sense that there was the CGI dwarves and the diversity gang, but somehow they insisted on putting everybody together in the movie, and it's not working. Am I right, Estephobos?
Oh, yeah. You know what it felt like? It felt like it was DLC side quest content. It's like, okay, now we're going to take these bandits and we're going to go on a little side mission to a magical gem mine that's not going to connect whatsoever to the rest of the narrative. It definitely, again, it's so much similarities to Captain Black Ant Falcon. You can see the seam lines where it was all stitched together and added, but so many of the scenes and the narratives just didn't have anything to do with the main story. So by the time you get to the end, you don't really know what's going on. And there's two other big things. I'm not the demographic for this movie. I get that, but I love animation. I grew up, watching animated features, and I can still watch the classic Disney movies. I raise my kids on some of them. So
this one is just such a classic. I hadn't watched it in a while, and I watched it the other day because I wanted to prepare myself for watching this one, and I wanted to have it fresh in my mind. And I was really, really surprised at how good it was. I'm like, man, this is from 1937. The artwork there, the artistry that went into it, to this day, I think that it holds up as amazing. Like all these people today, they have a bunch of computers and all these algorithms and AIs and software and whatever. These guys did it the old-fashioned way. And man, there's some really, really amazing, art in this movie.
Yeah, it's like the old Popeye. It's not just a static background. It's real hand-drawn animated tracking shots where the forest is moving around. I mean, it's incredible. And there's an entire generation of kids whose first and maybe only exposure to Snow White is going to be this trash. And this is their Snow White. And they've ruined it for like untold many people.
Well, that original film, every frame is a painting. Every frame is a handmade piece of art. And that original film, not only was it the film that launched Disney as a movie making juggernaut, making these animated films, it's one of the most beautiful animated films ever made, and it's one of the most important films ever made, being it was this first feature-length animated film, and it's absolutely gorgeous. If you go look at the 4K transfer of that's available now, it is still absolutely stunning. There is beauty there in that hand-drawn 2D art that you just do not get from some CGI animated mess that you have today.
And he bet he bet the entire future of Disney Studios on this movie. This was the make or break time for them. Go ahead, Sean. Sorry.
No, I've always said that 2D animation was like classical music. It never goes out of style, and it's always gorgeous to hear or see.
Yeah.
CGI has a lot of good stuff, but it always ends up showing its age after a while.
It does. It really does. So, kind of coming back to the movie. So you kind of mentioned, both of you mentioned a little bit. What about the plot of the movie here? Obviously, we know what the original plot of Snow White was, right? I mean, we've seen the movie. We're talking about it. We probably read the story. We know there's some major changes here.
There's
so
changes.
What were some of the things that
I'll tell you what it is. First of all, in the original version, what happens is that it starts off basically the evil queen is in charge. That's it. She's there, and they just start telling the story. Her, Snow White, the rags. You know that there was maybe a father, but you don't know anything, and you don't really get a lot of information. I don't mind that, actually. In this movie, they want to fill in the gaps.
So it's snow exposition. In the
Snow exposition, yes.
Yeah.
It has the same kind of book you see at the beginning, like a similar thing, but of course you open it up and instead of the evil queen, whatever it is we see, now we have a situation that it's explaining that there was once a king and he fell in love with a woman, and then this woman gave birth to a daughter, and since this happened, they were like in some carriage stuck in the snow. They called her Snow White. Now the thing is, they will not leave you alone in the movie. Several times they will remind you that the reason that she's called Snow White is because she survived some blizzard of snow. And man, they want you. They don't want you to say, "Wait, what about her skin? It's not as white." That's why they keep saying this over and over in the movie. And like, there were a few parts that she just breaks into song, and she's like, in the middle, they're just talking to her, and she's like, "My skin, not my skin. I survived a blizzard of snow." And it's like, nobody even asked you, bitch. Like, she just says it. It's the Phobos. Do you know what I mean? Like, in the middle of the scene, they're like, "Oh, we should go here. We should go there." And she's like, "I survived the blizzard, so I'm Snow White." I'm like, lady, shut the fuck up. Sorry, Sean.
No, it's just like Captain America. Did you know you're Captain America? Yeah, he's Captain America now. It's like Captain America.
That was the exact same thing. They wanted to make sure you know that why she's Snow White. So anyhow, there's the blizzard. Then what happened is that the mother died, and then the father, the king, remained alone, and he was kind of lonely. And then one day into the palace comes the evil queen, who at this point looks like it's just Gal Gadot looking like Gal Gadot, but probably looking great. Even on like a Gal Gadot scale, she looks fantastic, like walking in, and the king is like, that's it. He's like taken aback by her beauty and completely on board. Like, he wants to marry her. He's completely on board. That is probably the only scene in the movie that I felt was believable.
Well,
yeah, it's the Phobos. Are you with me?
Yeah. Can I interject something?
Sure, go ahead.
Every Disney movie starts off with some kind of tragedy for the hero. Usually, it's the loss of a parent. And it's always done like, think of Bambi, or Dumbo. Here, it should be like Snow Tell, Don't Show White, because it's like how the mother's death. It's just like the exposition guy comes in, dun-dun-dun, the queen is dead, and then
the only reason they did the exposition because they wanted you to know that she was born in a blizzard. If they didn't have that stupid thing that they needed to explain to you, we probably wouldn't have gotten that scene. They could have just started with the thing that she's with her father. If they really wanted that exposition, she's already on the throne with her father, or next to it, he lost his wife, and then this lady walks in. If they really wanted the exposition, they could have done that.
That would have been beautiful, like her and her dad standing in a blizzard over a tombstone. Like, but no, instead they just like, it's like they announce an obituary.
They had to.
Snow White's mom is dead, and now she is very sad. You will see how she is very sad, even though she survived a blizzard, which is why they call her Snow White. She is sad because mother is dead now.
They had to do that scene because they couldn't explain the blizzard. They didn't want to just explain it. They wanted you to see the blizzard. That's what happens. The mother, her presence in this movie basically boils down to her in a carriage in the middle of a snowstorm. That's like 90% of the mother's role in the movie. Then it's already like it starts jumping with the well, she disappears and all that stuff. What I will say, and this I have to point out, that I do think that Gal Gadot looked great. The way she came, it's the Phobos. Did she look good coming into that palace?
Yeah, and she had, she's not the greatest actress, but she's got charisma, and her attitude, her just deliciously wicked. She was like Cruella de Vil waltzing in her leather. Did I mention the leather? No, I mean, she looks fantastic. Even though 90% of her is covered up for the whole movie, like God forbid.
Right, and you still know that she's pretty. But like initially she's not covered up. When she arrives at that ball, she just kind of looks like you see her, in public. But I just felt like she looked especially good when she walks in and the king is immediately in love. I bought that. That's what I was saying to myself. This is the only scene in the movie that makes sense until now, and I think that was the best scene in the whole movie.
And I want to point out her skin was so light in the movie, they just could have freaking called her Snow White. Like, actually, everything in the movie was kind of yellow, but like she looked as, they didn't even have to do the whole blizzard thing, except they wanted to make sure you knew she wasn't Caucasian. Because
right, it's a weird obsession. It's a weird obsession, which like they are just obsessed with this.
Can we talk about how the movie ruined apple pie for me for the rest of my life?
Wait, okay. Wait, Professor asked for the story, so I don't want to. Let's stay on target for a second. So the story is the father he's smitten with Gal Gadot. He marries her, and then like he goes out of the castle. What I don't even remember what errand he runs out like with his men outside the castle, but he never returns. Like something mysterious happens. He leaves the castle, never to return. And then at that point, the evil queen, she's becoming more and more evil. She's now the ruler, and she's transforming this like seemingly peaceful kingdom into like a more militant kind of dictator, whatever it is that she is, like oppressive regime. And she's now like evil. And Snow White, this is similar to the original. It says, oh, she put her in rags and let her sweep the floor downstairs and whatever. So that they tried to copy the beat. And then one day, and this already is annoying because in the original movie, the prince arrives, and that's like a big deal. Here, instead of the prince, you have Jonathan. Jonathan is sort of a moist replacement for the prince who likes stealing food or something. So he comes and he steals food, and then I guess he gets caught, and the queen wants to kill him or do something bad, and Snow White asks for mercy. And at the end, what the queen does is she ties him to like a gate outside, and because of the cold, he's supposed to die. But Snow White doesn't like this, so she goes outside and she kind of frees him and gives him bread, or I don't even know. I think she frees him and gives him bread. Who even knows? In any case, the guy, as she frees him, he tells her that she's wonderful, that she's the best woman ever, and that she needs to now be like a girl boss and lead a revolution, and she needs to be brave because she's so wonderful. And I'm paraphrasing, but Istophobos knows what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it starts out, it's like, you're gonna be our Marxist savior. It's just so cringy and horrible. I mean, the agenda, it's not even hidden, but you could even describe it as the evil queen as the capitalist. She comes in and actually starts putting people to work. Okay, maybe not voluntarily, but this whole idea of equity comes up. It's so cringy. The dialogue in this movie was just painful to listen to.
It was, and then what happens is that after Snow White helps Jonathan, and he tells her how great she is. He runs away. The queen kind of notices this happen, and then she asks the mirror, and the mirror said that the fairest one is actually Snow White because she's been awakened. She's like woke now or something. She's awakened. She released. Seriously, says something like that. She released the guy and didn't kill him. So now like her fairness is awakened or some stupid thing like that. And
her
this
inner beauty.
Inner beauty, whatever
from within.
The sleeper has awakened.
It's so far-fetched that they couldn't just do fairest of them all the way you think it is, but actually to try to work around it, like with the blizzard thing. So in any case, now she's pissed. So similarly, some scenes are actually like you suddenly see a scene and it really is what you saw in the original classic, but when you take those isolated scenes and shove a bunch of other unrelated stuff in there, it only spoils what once worked really well. So in any case, she calls the huntsman and she says, I need you to kill her. He goes to the forest. That's a similar scene. He wants to kill her, but then he doesn't. And then he says, you should run into the forest. And this is a really stupid part. He goes, you should run into the forest now. And also, I want to tell you the truth about your father. He wasn't, it's not what you think happened to him. And then she says, well, what happened to him? He's like, I can't tell you now. You have to run. Like, dude, if you didn't want to tell her what happened to her father, don't even bring it up. You don't come to a person that thinks their father is dead and say like, hey, you don't know the truth about your father. And she's like, well, tell me the truth. No, like that. What are you, an idiot? You know what I mean? Like that whole scene was just so stupid to me. Sorry, Sean.
Yeah, it was at this point I started making notes for the Axel Braun screenplay version of this movie, I think.
So I don't know if you remember that he wouldn't tell her the secret. So she runs into the forest. This is again sort of it emulates whatever you see in the original classic. At the end, there's animals that she befriends, and they kind of lead her into the dwarf's home, and she falls asleep there. Again, copying little beats here, the things that seemingly happened in the classic. The only thing is that in the classic one, she becomes this beautiful, mother figure that kind of, for the dwarfs, she cooks, she cleans, but she's like their mother figure in the house, and they form this kind of friendship and bond with her. All of this is really minimized here because of the political correctness. She doesn't want to. You don't see her like cooking and cleaning. You don't see her do much of anything.
She don't need no man.
She don't need no man. She tells them, you clean. You got to do better, Senator. You got to clean. You got to broom the floor. So
I think the line from the original movie is like, if I do a good job cleaning, maybe they will let me stay.
Yeah. She says basically she's going to make a gift of cleaning up for them in the hopes that she'll be allowed to stay with them. Right. She's saying that I'm going to offer something to them in exchange for
room and board, baby. Yeah.
And then later when they sing songs about cleaning up the house, and she's talking about you can do this, you can do that, and I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna this is my thing, I'll take. And then they change the song, because we've heard the song, we've seen the clips of it. They change it to where basically she's just making the rest of them work.
Oh yeah, I think she goes, I am the Kwisatz Haderach. You move the couch. You get on your knees. You go and scrub the floor.
Well, in the original song, she says, "And I'll use the broom," right? And in
here she goes, "You use the broom." In this
version, you'll use the broom.
Yeah, it's very appropriate.
I want to answer Hypnocrab. Is Space Fish going to discuss AC Shadows? We are going to discuss it, and Professor is very knowledgeable, so he'll have some good things to say. Marla Sharendorf said, "My sister is Twilight Sparkle." What's Twilight Sparkle?
It's My Little Pony. They've been comparing the movie to My Little Pony stuff.
Yes.
That's Tara Strong, isn't it?
Yes, Tara Strong.
Yes, Tara Strong is Marla Sharendorf's sister.
Amazing voice actresses out there today. And we love having you here, Marla. And I absolutely love your sister's performances. I was actually playing a game with her in it earlier today. I was playing one of the Batman Arkham games where she plays Harley Quinn. So
Tara Strong is the Meryl Streep of voice acting.
Absolutely. Empress and M says Marla Sharendorf Twilight would make a better Snow White, and Marla Sharendorf said Tara would definitely do a better job. Yeah, no, she has a very, very impressive resume. And like you said, when it comes to voice acting, I mean, it's hard to match the type of resume that Marla's sister has. So, yeah, good stuff. And from time to time, Marla is kind enough to kind of throw us a bone, because she herself has a lot of knowledge about stuff.
Yeah,
it's cool. And then I guess Hypnocrab, I'm installing it right now. In any case, where were we? We were talking about the movie. What was
the kind of the plot? So she ends up with the dwarves.
Okay, yes.
Bossing them around.
Bossing them around. Yeah.
Boss.
She's their girl boss. It's like, it's not a good deal. If I'm the dwarfs and she comes in and starts bossing me around, I just tell her to get lost. That's not a good deal for me. She's bringing nothing to the table.
Yeah, here's the thing. She's not actually just. She's not actually fair. She is a brat.
Right. She's exactly the brat that her father knew she could be.
Yeah, yeah. She doesn't come into her power. She seizes it. The sleeper has a way. Like, she's basically the evil queen in training.
Absolutely. There's nothing she brings to the table. And then at some point, the only thing is she's like, oh, well, maybe I should go. I'm going to draw unwanted attention to you. I'll leave. And they're like, okay, we'll see you later. So she leaves. And as opposed to the original movie where she really forms a bond with the dwarfs, and the dwarfs are really important in this story, and in the original one, they're so just almost just like an afterthought in this movie. And that really is a shame that between all their hipsters and CGI and hirings and firings, that they ended up taking something that was an important part of the movie and kind of just making it like lame and stupid. And that really is even worse than the CGI.
You can't take attention away from the stars. She has to do it all on her own. I do want to point out, as creepy as the dwarves looked on the big screen, they are 10 times worse. That's why I said dirtier and creepier. I mean, it's real. I think there were only about 5 or 6 people in the theater and a couple of kids. And I believe I saw it in a Spanish speaking area of town. I figure if any showing was going to be crowded, it would be this one. And there was nobody there, but the kids were actually scared of, like, not the poison apple, not the evil queen, the dwarfs.
Is it weird that their designs kind of make me think of killer clowns from outer space?
No, they look like they would be in a horror movie.
I thought one was Alfred E. Newman from Mad Magazine, and the other...
Dopey. Dopey was Mad Magazine guy, yeah.
And the other was George R. R. Martin, and I just wanted to scream at, when are you going to finish Winds of Winter?
Oh.
Never.
It would have been funny if
the
somebody
answer.
yelled that at the screen.
Never.
But they have to explain how each dwarf gets their name. Like, you couldn't figure that out.
Right. That's also dumb. But then what happens is, okay, she leaves them, never really forms the bond that really means anything like the way you feel in the original. So they got that wrong as well. She's not the mother figure. She doesn't contribute anything. She's just a brat, like Estefobos says. So she leaves, and then she's in the forest, and she conveniently runs into this Jonathan, into the moist version of the prince, into Jonathan the thief. And he's there, and he's already like showing her, I can steal your necklace. Like I don't like that they made him a lowlife. The prince was like an important character. He's the prince. That's what was her heart's desire. But because it's like not politically correct, they needed like a lowlife instead. And she's going to help the lowlife be less of a lowlife. You know what I mean?
Yeah, patriarchy need not apply here.
Right. So in any case, she's in the forest, and then they're there. But then, like, you know, this also, like, on one hand, he has his now they basically took all the diversity hipsters and they attached them to Jonathan. So Jonathan's crew now is these hipsters, which is super lame. I mean, at least if you want to make bandits and stuff make them cool, make them like cool, have them like cool, either armor or something, make them kind of cool characters. Instead, they look like they work at Starbucks in 2025. It looks like you just took them. You went to a Starbucks now, you took them out of there, you put these people there, and it looks like Jonathan and the diversity hipsters. Like,
yeah, they could have been Pirates of the Caribbean or like Robin Hood's Merry Men, but instead they really were. Well, again, I just you can feel the discontinuity in editing, and I think they didn't want to take. Let me ask you, because you said you recently watched the original.
Yes.
Okay, it's been a while, but I remember when she ate that poison apple and she went to sleep, like the pain and worry on the dwarfs was like palpable. You could, I mean, I think when I was younger, I started to cry. They all stood around her and they were in literal agony and worried about her. And am I remembering that right? Like, it was a very
absolutely powerful... Okay. What happens in
none of that here?
No, in the original, what happens is that the animals go to warn the dwarfs, and the dwarfs run to see what happened. But when they arrive, they see the queen, you know, who's now in this, you know, old lady form, is trying to run away, and they're running, and like basically she's 10 times more powerful than they are. They were worried before, but now they're heroic. They're all like running after her to take the queen out. Like I mean, the only thing that I could say is I don't even think that they go in there to tend to Snow White at this point. They're just they think she's been poisoned, and they're running after the queen to battle her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're gonna wreck her.
They are there to destroy the queen themselves, which really, if you think about it, presents them as like they started off as like these kind of silly whatever, but at the end they're heroes. You know what I mean? Now it shows that they care about her, that this bond that they formed with her is a real bond, and they're there to like the fight for her honor, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? So and they're the ones that actually take out the witch. In this one, it's totally different. She does the apple thing. First of all, here's another issue. If she's a girl boss and she's so smart and she's such a wise ass, then this lady coming with the apple wouldn't trick her. The reason the original Snow White works is because she almost seems a bit naive. She's this beautiful, naive princess kind of. She's very sweet and very like caring and nice and very motherly and nurturing. So this lady comes along and she's nice to her because that's the character of Snow White. But Rachel Zegler's version seems kind of like bratty and annoying. So I feel like she wouldn't actually eat that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, if you're so smart, why did you get? Oh, we lost somebody.
Oh,
I think that's what happened.
Bryce got dumped. He'll be right. He's coming right back.
Yeah, my icon got dumped too. I feel the pain.
There you are.
Yeah, Zegler should have used her Bene Gesserit powers on the witch and brought her to her knees.
Right. I mean, the thing is that they didn't build the character correctly. So at the time when she eats the apple, I just don't believe it. You know what I mean? They tried to do something like, oh, she talked about her father. I didn't buy any of it. It's like, this is what happens when you try to keep certain parts of the story, but then change the character motivations and change so much about the story that these scenes, they may look like classic scenes, but they don't work in the same way. So that wasn't powerful. The dwarfs wasn't powerful because it's not like in the original one. And then they took the animals and they made it so they signaled to Jonathan. That's how Jonathan quickly arrives, and gives her the kiss that wakes her up. At least they kept the kiss. Who knows if this wasn't a reshoot? I wonder if he was always supposed to kiss her. Maybe initially he was supposed to like blow a kiss from far away, but in this one he actually kisses her and she wakes up.
And it was the gayest kiss between a man and a woman I've ever seen.
ever. I agree. But then
she would have, if originally she would have kissed herself to wake herself up.
Yeah.
Right.
And she had to sign the consent forms. And
but the funniest thing, okay? She wakes up, and the second she wakes up, Sean, can you guess what happens?
She is the queen dead already at this point?
No.
Oh, nope. So she gathers an army and has a rallying speech.
And she wakes up 1 second after her waking up. She's the biggest girl boss. She's like, we got to start our revolution now. We gotta put our
the proletariat
together. Yeah, and then
get your brown coats. We're going to war.
So she goes to war, and they put together. It's like her, Jonathan, the fake prince, the moist prince, or whatever you want to call him, and then the CGI dwarfs and the diversity gang. That's like their army. Okay. Also, there's also I forgot. This is so funny. I forgot this. This is so stupid. This is really the part where I looked at it and I thought to myself, there's some idiots writing this screenplay, or they just didn't know what to do with a reshoot. So there's a part earlier on, I forgot to say this, that in the forest, somebody comes and wants to shoot an arrow at Snow White. And Jonathan, in the only decent act of this guy in the whole movie, he jumps and he gets hit by the arrow instead of her. So they bring Jonathan over to the dwarfs and they try to, heal him or whatever. They take off his thing. He gets up and he survives the stupid thing with the arrow. Okay. So he walks outside. And then Snow White somebody goes to Snow White, one of the dwarfs, and says, "Oh, you really like Jonathan? You guys could be a couple." So she said, "How could I like him? He only thinks about himself." And I'm like, "Lady, he just jumped in front of an arrow to stop you from dying. How could you say that about him?" But then the guy that's talking to her, the dwarf, says, "Well, he did try to save your life now by jumping in front of an arrow." So she's like, "Well, that's true." I'm like, this is so stupid. What are you? I don't want to use the R word. But are you dent-headed, as Vex Electronica would say? What is wrong with you?
I think that line came from a different revision of the script, and when they put them all together, then they had to do some ADR to make things.
They barely stitched that together. That the parts that you see the diversity gang, and there's one part where like the prince is there, and the diversity gang and the CGI dwarfs are having a party together. There was some weird stuff there. All of that feels like hasty stitching of something. Like they didn't want to get rid of them, but they didn't know what to do with them, and so they go now to confront the queen. First of all, Snow White shows up. She sings, and then like a bunch of the town residents like next to the castle are all like now supporting her. She's like la 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 la, and they're like, "That's it. Like we loved you. You're the best." So now like they're joining her, and then between the CGI dwarves and the diversity gang, they like all like surround the place, whatever it is, and then the queen comes out and she wants her like top warriors to take out Snow White or whatever it is, but they're like, no, like so Snow White's like, don't you remember that once we were a peaceful town and you were like a farmer and you like baked bread and you did this and you did that. So all of like the queen's people, they decide they're not evil anymore and they like join Snow White. And at this point, like the queen gets really upset and they basically. There's also a part that one of the diversity gang, dwarves, he shoots like an arrow and she tries to use it like a dagger against Snow White and he shoots it out of her hand.
A surprising amount of archery for a Snow White movie. And I think she also said it's never too late to stop being a dick. I think she might have said that.
just don't be a dick.
and then like the queen runs into like her palace and there's like that mirror and she's like, I don't know what she says again, like mirror mirror who's the fairest of them all. I don't know why she asked him this. Maybe I'm forgetting it. I think he says it. Who even knows? At the end she gets upset and she breaks the mirror, and then the mirror sort of like consumes her and she seemingly gets sucked into the mirror, which I guess leaves a possibility for a sequel in case she wants to return.
Well, they can't have the dwarves kill the queen, and I think it's mirror mirror on the wall, who has the means of production for them all, or something like that. And then
who controls the means of production?
Yeah. So, like, her clothes are in ashes, but her soul gets sucked in the mirror because it was the source of her power. So that's what I said. They're setting up the sequel.
So her clothes are in ashes. So
yeah,
you're telling me she's trapped nude in the mirror.
Well, that's why I might have to see it again just to check on that. But I will say it took everything I had not to whistle that song like all day long. But the big number, the one they're hoping will take off, like it's chord for chord. It's like Let It Go from Frozen. You can tell
they totally went for that. They're trying to make that a thing. They released a video today. They're going all in on that thing. Listen, for that stupid, I don't like those Frozen songs. So I guess I'm not the target audience. Maybe, you know what? There may be children that you could take to this movie that may or may not like it. I don't really know what to tell you. I can only look at it as if they're trying to honor Snow White or not, if this actually mattered to them. I don't think it's like an honoring of her. If this was, like I said, Princess in the Forest, it would be like, it would be fine. Again, not spectacular. It would just be okay as Princess in the Forest. By the way, after the queen is now in the mirror, Snow White is now becomes the queen, and they do a big party for her where you see like a big picture of her now, like the queen, and everybody's like dancing and celebrating, and she's the best. And then the thing ends that she's now Queen White, I guess, and everybody thinks that she's the best.
And everybody dances around, and then there's like a glowy orb that she gives on to the Gungan, and they all cheer and celebrate.
Well, yeah,
I was hoping there'd be Ewoks.
Well, the Spacing Guild showed up, and she married. And I think. Oh God! I had
one of the dwarves. The dopey says, "She is the Kwisatz Haderach."
I will say this: like from start to finish, there's just like hyperkinetic animated critters all the way around. I think if you're 8 years old or younger, you might actually enjoy this because
the critters were the least offensive part of this thing.
yeah, but there was so much like movement, and it started to get me a little. I don't know.
It's too much, but that's not my issue with the movie. If Basically, that was one of the better things. Maybe it was overused, but the critters did not bother me. That was not my main.
No, they're very cute. That'll save the movie for little kids. Oh, and she changed her name to Sussex at the end too, I think, or was it Skywalker? I get them mixed up.
I waited until after the movie thinking there's going to be a post-credit scene. No, and there wasn't one. And then later somebody was sharing like a bogus one online, and I'm like, is this real? Was there one? I didn't see a post-credit scene, personally.
There were a bunch of people doing AI. They were doing AI stuff, making up new scenes for Snow White. That was a thing on the internet the other day.
Yeah, I expected to see like some swirling in the mirror at the very least, like you know, to show her being in there. But there's the hubris. They're totally like, we're gonna get a sequel.
So
and listen, it sounds better than it is. I'm worried that after our recap, you might think that this is hey, this doesn't sound so bad. Remember, we're mixing up some of the old stuff in there too, and none of the heart or soul.
No, it doesn't have the heart and soul. But I'll tell you what, it's not a completely incompetently made movie. There's certain beats or certain scenes or certain something that I look that I'm like, oh, okay, this kind of reminds me of the original or kind of this and kind of that. But then something else happened that kind of is annoying. And yes, overall, when you take certain scenes that worked once and try to shove in a bunch of things that have nothing to do with it, you're not helping the story. And that's really, really the issue here. And when you have $500 million, you have no excuses. Nothing you can tell me. $500 million has to be like a movie that's like 100. Like, if I give it a score, it has to be like 100 out of 100. Because if you don't know what you're doing with $500 million, then you may as well just not make a movie.
Yeah, Mega Geek could have done better for $1 million. Like,
sure, I'd happily give Mega Geek $1 million. I'd rather watch whatever Mega Geek is doing for $1 million than what Disney are doing for $500 million for the most part.
And I want to say, I'm not convinced they didn't do a little deep fake on their old. Like, listen, we make fun of Zegler a lot, and she's not ugly, but she does have a weird face. Her eyes are very far apart, and when she's not wearing makeup, she kind of looks a little crony. But I swear to God, they fixed her eyes. Like they deep faked her with an idealized version of, like with all the airbrushing on the still, her glamour stuff. She's in all the makeup. I'm sure there's a guy in Photoshop that's just squishing those eyes to the same zip code, so they make sense.
They're de-aging a person at their current age. That makes me think of the Stephen Wright joke where he's like, I want to get a tattoo of myself all over my body except taller.
People are asking me about scores. So the thing is, for me, when I give anything above a 60, it means it gets a passing grade. And since this is called Snow White, I couldn't give it a passing grade. That, and also, when you think about the production that was here, I couldn't do it. I maybe would give it like a 50 or a 55. It's a competent enough production, and there's certain things about it that aren't terrible, but I would give it a 55 because that's still considered a failing grade, and it doesn't deserve to get something that's not a failing grade. This is called Snow White. Like I said, Princess in the Forest, maybe I'd give it like a 65. Snow White, 55.
I'm unable to divorce myself from the fact that the star of this movie wants me to die and to never experience a moment of peace because I don't live my life the way she, with all her 21 years of wisdom, demands that I do. So, I mean, I think I pretty much listen. It should have been a knock it out of the park moment for Disney. Instead, I just gave it a 0. But in all honesty, he's probably around the 40s. Like, if you're a really little kid, you might like this, but I'm not going to take like my grandkids to see this movie. I don't want it to be like, there are some really odd, creepy Marxist ideas in this film that I just wouldn't want kids exposed to.
I mean, they have the thing here that they're like, this is sort of relatively compared to Disney, and maybe they toned it down in this reshoots. There is that element of like something, a commie feel to it. Like, oh, you used to share your crops with the other people. There's little things sprinkled in there that they love Disney, and we saw this in Daredevil this week, they love these certain ideas that it's okay to steal if you're stealing food or something like that. Like, I'm not saying that somebody should go hungry, but like I feel like this is the second time this week that I saw a Disney production that was basically explaining that stealing is cool if you're stealing food from people.
And
well, yeah,
I want to point out I've read way more about Rachel Zegler than I ever thought I would want to, but in her life, she has a boyfriend. She wants love. She just wants to have the house and the dog and the quiet. Like, that's the thing. In real life, she wants to be a trad wife, which is really funny. But in her public persona, she is telling everybody else that they shouldn't or don't get to do that. It's just the disconnect and the hypocrisy and the entitlement. Whereas did we talk about how like Variety tried to make the controversy look like it was spread evenly amongst Gal Gadot? And
yeah, I mean, we mentioned that here, which was really annoying. They're trying to kind of lay the groundwork to make it seem like, the Middle East is what causes the movie not to succeed or the tension in the cast. That had nothing to do with it. And a lot of times, I'll tell you this, a lot of times at these companies, this is something that I know actually from firsthand experience. Whatever, I'm not saying that I'm some big whatever, but whatever we want to call experience that I have, I've been in situations where I've seen somebody that's from a studio that is just looking for a narrative to explain a failure. Like, rather than thinking, how do we improve this? How do we make this better? How do we acknowledge our mistakes? This executive is just thinking, how do I make it seem reasonable that this thing didn't work without losing my job? What kind of boogeyman could I put this on? So
the thing is, they don't get fired when they fail anyway. They just continue to get promoted. So I don't even see why they're worried about that.
Well, I mean, the thing is that
excuses.
Right. I mean, they don't get fired, but that's why they do this, because they don't want to get fired. They just need a story. Kathleen Kennedy is the queen of this. She doesn't know how to produce a Star Wars movie, but when it comes to like finding the boogeyman, the misogynist, Kelly Marie Tran, this Moses Ingram, I don't know what, any nonsense she could latch onto. So they're taking a page out of the same playbook. All these executives are doing the same thing. It really felt like in the weeks leading up to this, they weren't trying to promote the movie. They were trying to create enough problems that they could later say, well, you know what? We had a great movie on our hands, but sometimes, when we have world events like the Middle East conflict, that's not something that we can control. People have different opinions on things. It's something for us as a company to learn from moving forward. They're going to say all this crap and not take responsibility for anything, not for the $500 million that they're not even going to admit to. They're going to say, oh, we filmed this all for like $100 million. 2 years from now, you'll find out it's $500 million.
Yeah, and Iger is still blaming Chapek and COVID. And it's important to note, Disney had its annual once-a-year shareholder meeting this morning, and they didn't bring this movie up once. But he did talk about the challenges of COVID and that other guy who tried to, with the 4 minutes that he actually ran the company by himself, the stock went up to 200, but boy, he really ruined the place. We're just now getting back on our feet.
Right. The stock was like at an all-time high with him, and then they got rid of it and all went to shit.
Especially after that Deadpool movie.
Yeah. So this should have been the biggest movie of the year, all other things, but Disney can't get out of its own way. And this morning they voted to continue the relationship with the HRC and to continue DEI, and to the shareholders brought out a thing saying we should get out of politics. We should just focus on entertainment. And that proposal was voted down. So,
yep.
Yeah, man. So luckily we have a really excellent game. I think that is everything Snow White isn't, right? Because there's black people in it and ninjas. We have good news now, right?
Right. I mean, the truth be told, I myself have not played this game. I'm just, I don't know if anybody's played it, but I was hoping Professor usually knows stuff more than I do.
Well, I lived in Japan, but it doesn't look like that.
Actually, I played Yasuke Simulator today. I did not play.
Oh, how was that?
Ridiculous is what it is. It's quite hilarious, actually. It was like $4 for the game, but I was like, you know what? This is they memed so well. It was worth $4 to me to give them that.
What does he do? Just like slaughter Japanese guys, or?
Oh, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's a ridiculous game. Around just doing like parkour stuff in the game, and then you're he hops in cars and drives right. You're riding bicycles around and stuff. Have you ever played any of the or seen any of the goat simulator games?
Oh yeah, I love that one.
They're absurd, right?
Yeah.
They're real janky, and the way that the characters move through the world and everything is really kind of like half-assed, right? Well, it's that, except you're a black samurai who's like, by the way, like the model that they use for him is like a just basic, like comes with the software model of a black guy. Like it's just totally the simplest model you can have. And then he's running around, and the animations are all kind of cheap and janky, and driving cars and riding bicycles and just doing absurd stuff. Like I said, I haven't gotten that far in it, but it's hilarious how they kind of memed on this game. And the name of the company that made it is History Accurate Games or something like that is the name of the company. So it's pretty funny.
Well, I did hear that like Ubisoft and EA use the models that come with the software, and that's why all the women have manly chins.
Yes, there's been some talk of that. Somebody sends a video to Smash JT recently where they were kind of showing off how they had modeled a female face, and were showing that, like, hey, if you actually just use the models that just come with some of this software, that the models automatically have that man jaw, and the way they have that very masculine looking face instead of a very feminine soft face and soft rounded jaw. So I thought that was an interesting insight. But so far, if we're ready to talk about Assassin's Creed Shadows, so far the reviews have not been terrible. There's a lot of people saying, it's a, generally it's a decent game. There have been a few out there that have been giving it outrageously high, marks for the game. 100, some journalistic, supposedly quote unquote journalistic outlets giving it 100, 90, 95. You've got a handful out there that are being a little more realistic. They're giving it more like 75s, 80s. Generally just saying that it's not all that different. It really just kind of the same formula that we've seen in all the Assassin's Creed games up until now. That it's not the worst game that they've played in a long time, but it's also by no means is it the best entry in the Assassin's Creed series. Let's see, Empress in him says, did IGN give it a 7 out of 10? No, they gave it an 8 out of 10, actually. It's on par with the Acolyte. They gave an 8 out of 10. So
I saw someone on Twitter say it was the greatest video game ever made of all time. And then I saw a comparison from like 2002 Assassin's Creed, where it looked like a Ridley Scott movie, and this one where it looks like a PS1 game. It couldn't compare. Like the actual graphics and the atmosphere and the visual experience looks severely downgraded from like 15, 20 years ago even.
Yeah, so here's the Assassin's Creed. This is Geralt of Gunia. Here's the poster on Twitter. Assassin's Creed Shadows. They delayed it to polish. Especially, they said they're going to polish the parkour, to make sure that the character could move properly across the really complex roofs, and they delayed it for 2 months, so we get to nice. That doesn't look great. Oh my goodness. Fascinating.
Yeah. I will notice that the roof doesn't look too steep to put an assassin up on top of it.
Okay. Just the character gets launched all the way across the map because there's some place where they get stuck. It's funny.
That does kind of look PS2-ish, though.
No, that's kind of been a running theme for a while now with some of these newer games coming out, is that they just don't look as good as stuff that we've been able, that we've had for years. Like I said, I was just recently playing. I went back. They had big Steam sale, a spring sale on Steam, and recently I've been talking with my son, and I was like, hey, you know what? There's a great series, the Arkham series, the Batman Arkham games that are just fantastic, like really good. Like I wonder, are those on the Steam sale? And turns out they were all on the Steam sale for like $3 and $4 a piece. And so I picked all of them up, and I realized, I was kind of looking at them. I was like, you know what? I remembered that I never actually played the third game that came out on the PlayStation, the Arkham Origins game.
That one's a good one.
I never played it. It kind of came out at the wrong time for me. Like it was right after I had started grad school. I just didn't have time for games, and it was one that I just never got back to. I was like, I should play this. Like I should, I never, I loved the Arkham and Arkham City, and then later the Arkham, Dark Knight one, the last one that they made, but I'd never played Origins. So I just went back and played that. It's like, this game's really good. Like I felt it was really derivative of kind of it took a whole lot of stuff they did with Arkham City and kind of just did it again.
It was a different company,
but it was a different studio that made it. They took a bunch of the assets and kind of reused some of that stuff. So the map is very similar, but it was just a really good game.
But that's what happens when you take artists with 20, 30 years of experience and you fire them and force them out of the industry and hire a bunch of hacks from Tumblr. You get games that look like this.
I still need to play that one.
I'm looking at this Origins game, which was published in like 2013, and I'm like, this actually looks pretty good. I was playing it on PC. It was the PC version, but even then, it's like the textures look sharp and the animations are really good, and the character interactions with the world around them is really good. Like it was a really good looking game for the age that it is. And it's surprising that today some of the newest stuff that they make is is just garbage.
You talk about it like as if it's like the Atari age or something. For back when it was made, it looks good.
I'm just saying it's the age that it is. It's a decade old. It's over a decade old now, and it looks as good as a lot of stuff that's coming out now. And it's interesting because I think a lot of people have said like it has to do partly with the development tools now. Everyone has moved to Unreal Engine, and like all of the problems of Unreal Engine and everything that's in there in the development using that as a tool just show up in every single game now, because everyone's moved to that as their platform. So
and there was an artist on Twitter, she was a modeler, and she took 5 minutes and she took one of those macho chin models and turned it into a beautiful feminine looking woman in a few minutes. So sort of contradicted their excuses, like this is why all the women look like that, because she started with the asset that comes with the engine. She narrowed the chin and tapered the face, and all of a sudden, oh wow, it looks like the model from Star Wars Outlaws and not the actual, what was that thing's name in the game? It wasn't Rey, it was like
fake Han Solo.
Yeah. What was her name? I don't know. Anyway,
Jace was her name. Jace.
You just need to move around like 20 vertices, and all of a sudden you have a feminine-looking model. So don't buy those excuses either, unless of course your artists are incompetent.
Yeah, K-Vess from Outlaws.
Oh,
yeah,
I said Jace. I don't know why. K-Vess, yeah.
Yeah, you're close enough. Yeah.
K-Vess, Jace. It was like there was something about it that was similar.
Yeah. So yeah, overall, I think right now the reviews for Assassin's Creed Shadows are not awful. They're not, nobody's saying that this is the worst game they've ever played. A lot of them are. I think a lot of the reviews are pretty in line with probably what the real experience is. That no, it's not the worst Assassin's Creed game ever, and no, it's not the worst game you've ever seen. Clearly from some of the player counts and stuff. Actually, if you look at, you can look at. I've got a little. I could share this. This is from Steam DB. So you can see I pulled up a couple of recent comparisons here. So Steam DB shows the 24-hour peak for Assassin's Creed. So that's since it just came out, 24-hour peak is going to be the same as all time. But the all-time peak is around 41,000 right now. That could obviously increase if there's a lot of people jumping into this game over the next few days. But it'll be interesting to see if it does manage to do as well as Dragon Age the Veilguard, or do better in peak players as it goes forward. But obviously it's done significantly better than Star Wars Outlaws did.
Yeah, but aren't they going to have to sell like 10 million copies just to break even? Didn't this?
I would imagine. Cost? Yeah, I mean they've essentially stated there's been some leaks that people have talked about from inside of Ubisoft at this point, saying that if this just does okay, that will be a disaster. Like it has to do huge numbers. It has to be going to be a disaster for Ubisoft, and I don't think there's any chance that they're going to be able to make this a huge seller. I just don't think it can happen.
Are we not seeing a pattern here of both gaming studios and movie studios continuing to put themselves in the position where it's almost impossible not to fail? Even if they have something good, even if something does okay, it's still a disaster for the company.
Yeah, too many big budgeted things, too many activists.
Oh yeah, yeah,
too many activists.
massive budgets that they've spent so much on it that they can't possibly hope to actually make any money back from it. Here was another thing I was going to share here. So some reviews that were on.
Before you do that, I just want to say a few things. First of all, because I usually say this, but I didn't say it until now. If you're on Rumble and you're watching this through the app and you're not signed up for Rumble, you should definitely sign up. It's free. And you can then follow us, which is also cool, and you'll be notified when we do streams. And if you're just watching on Rumble and you are subscribed or are following us, make sure to like the stream. That's always great. It certainly helps, and follow us. Same with if you're watching on any other platform. If you're new and you're enjoying our stream, please make sure to like and subscribe and join us, because that would be cool. That way, we hang out here every Tuesday and Thursday, and there's already like a nice group of people that you could see in the chat that we kind of hang out together. Always looking for cool new people to hang out with. So just putting that out there. And the final thing I want to say, that after we talk about Assassin's Creed, I actually saw a sneak peek of another movie this week. I saw an advanced screening, and it's a sci-fi movie, and we'll talk about it afterwards.
Oh yeah, we can get to that here in just a minute. So,
but no, you do whatever you were doing. I was just giving people, kind of letting them know, because I didn't write it in the thumbnail. I completely forgot about it until this moment. But go on.
Yeah, that's fine. I hope you're talking about Ash, because I would love to hear about that.
That is exactly what I'm talking about.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we'll get to that here in just a minute.
How did you know? How did you know that's what I was talking about?
Well, because that's the only sci-fi movie that I know of.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I saw it. I saw it. We'll do a review.
I've been hearing some interesting things about it. So yeah, I would love to hear about your viewing of that. So yeah, there's some online, some social media reviews. This person here, No Room for Wokeness, saying that they think it's the greatest disrespect to any country's culture in the history of video games. That may very well be true. Obviously, I haven't played it myself, but how often do you get a country that goes to its legislative body to discuss the insult that a game has done to the culture of the country? That's pretty bad. This one, though, we were talking about the budgets. Could you believe that? 2 solid hours of credits at the end of this game.
Oh my God!
That can't be
2
real.
solid hours of credits. This guy has it recorded and has posted. This is Stuttering Craig. Everybody knows who Stuttering Craig is.
Yeah.
He has posted 2 solid hours of credits for this game.
Oh, that's nuts.
That's how many people worked on this over the time, how many different studios, different groups that worked on developing this. So you can only imagine what that budget actually looks like.
I did see a sneak preview of Alien Earth this morning while Bob Iger was taking credit for all the awards that Fox won. So if we're going to go into science fiction, there's a little bit, I don't know if anybody else saw that.
Yeah. No, I have not gotten to see that, but so that was just some reactions. Like I said, I have not actually played the Assassin's Creed game myself, but so far it seems like there's I think people are being pretty even-handed with the reviews. Sounds like it's another Assassin's Creed. It's another installment of this almost yearly game that comes out, and it's kind of like all the other installments of the game. It's nothing particularly special, not as disastrous as some people thought, but then again, like many insiders have said, if this is not a big seller for them, it's going to be a big problem when it comes to their budgets. So it looks like Price, we got some gifted memberships on our YouTube.
2 hours of credits? 2 hours?
2 solid hours of credits.
Well, let me pull this up. This is
Are they going for streaming minutes? I don't know.
Istophobos, who's here with us, did this, and it's very nice of you, man. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Let me see if I can share it so people see it.
The cool thing about this channel is the names of the people that get the memberships, so it's very satisfying. Like Gavin and Andy and Andrew and
we really enjoy the hangout here, and we like. I feel like this is something nice that we're building here, and I'm always happy to see it.
Yeah,
that's the best when you kind of know the people in the chat, when you see that they're already having sometimes another conversation that's sort of in addition to ours, they're having their own thing. And I'm trying to keep up with whatever they're writing because I'm like, oh, well, why are they saying that? Why are they saying this? So,
Pandekalima, I was worried about pronouncing it, so I was quiet. But sorry, they were going cough.
So, One Dirty Bird, how's it going, man? How's it going? One Dirty Bird is a very serious dude. Just want to say that they lost me on Assassin's Creed 3. That's fair enough.
And One Dirty Bird gave us a Rumble rant. I forgot to mention. Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I see it right now. Thank you.
$2 Rumble rant. Yeah.
$2. Let's. Let me see if I can highlight it. Hold on 1 second. I'm trying to find it. I don't know why. I should be able to highlight it, and I can't find it for some reason. Okay, here. I got it. I don't know how One Dirty Bird. I don't know how I missed it until now. One Dirty Bird. The problem is schools are teaching the students to be activists instead of successful adults. This has been going on for a long time. And this has been going on in colleges. Years ago, I studied in a college and I saw something like that unfold. And it really bothered me. But the part that bothered me the most is that nobody did anything about it. That the only person that seemed to have been bothered by what he saw was myself. And that kind of left an impression on me. It was almost like signaling to me what would one day happen in the future. Like there were people that were professors that are getting paid even by the state or federal or whatever it is, like getting money, and you see a professor standing there and speaking out against the U.S. and saying things, very anti-American things, and I thought to myself, this is so strange. This guy's getting paid, either by the state or whoever's paying, his salary in some cases. He's getting subsidized. He's like a big shot here and whatever, and he's saying all this stuff, and nobody says anything. Like, I tried to say something, but it didn't really get me anywhere. You know what I mean? It wasn't enough to move the needle or anything. And then I understood that this is a big racket.
Yeah.
Sorry, Professor, I don't want to get you in trouble. I know you're
no. It's well, and to be honest, it starts at public schools, starts at in the elementary schools where they're really indoctrinating a bunch of kids. But it absolutely there is a major problem with a lot of schools, universities and so on, state funded and private, where they've got people there that their goal is not really necessarily to educate the students. It's to turn them into activists, turn them into mouthpieces, and it's not good. It's been a major issue at a lot of schools, and thankfully, being that I work more in the area of business, we're actually about making sure that students leave school and are able to make money. That's the students that come to us, the students that want to be in our college are there because they actually want to go out into the world and be wealthy. They're not about going out of the world to be activists, who the only way they're going to make money is to get paid money to show up at a protest, right?
I have a question. One Dirty Bird says, "I'm good." Is that like I'm GOOD or God?
I think he's saying they lost me at Assassin's Creed 3. I'm good. So I'm saying that doesn't need it. One Dirty Bird doesn't need any more Assassin's Creed.
I understand that.
Speaking of college, did you see? It's been all over the news. The statistics about basically it's. They're showing like the Trump and general Republican polls. It's like, +6, +21, plus for men, college educated men, non-college educated women. And then you get to college educated women and it's like -34 Trump, -39 Republican. Like, have any of you seen that? It's been on the news all day. Like, that's where the problem is. College educated women are the ones really pushing the woke agenda. These are the women that are heading up the HR departments in every single company in the country too.
Oh yeah, they well, a lot of them. These are the ones that are out there screaming about my body, my choice, except when it's a vaccine. When you have to have that, but and they're out there yelling about those things, and they're agitating for this and that, and they're lonely. This is who Vance was talking about, right?
Yeah,
and Vance was talking about the lonely cat ladies. He's talking about all of these college educated women who have no family life, they have no they have no children. Many of them,
they have the lowest happiness index. And did you hear about the mom in Illinois, like, that's suing the school? Like, not only this was a 13-year-old, I guess, middle school. Not only did they let a trans identifying boy in the locker room, but the teachers went in there and actually forced all the girls to change in front of the dude.
Wait 1 second before you have to do. I know that Sean has to, get ready. He has a lot of things he needs to do tomorrow. So I just wanted to thank Sean for joining us. Sean, you're awesome. Thank you for being here. It's always good to have you with us.
Always good to see you, Sean.
Whenever you're available, it's always good to see you. And he's out.
Oh, hey, Sean. Bye,
See you, Sean.
Sorry, Sean. Okay, so
it as soon as you were like, "Oh, thanks for being here," it just immediately.
All right. Oh, and by the way, Sean has Crumb's comics. You could buy. That's the website where you could buy his. Let me do this. What's the link? How do I buy? I want to buy your comics. How to You understand what I'm trying to say?
You go to crumbscomics.com and go into shop.
Okay, hold on one second. Let me. So here, I'm even going to put one. This is Sean's comics. It's called Smacked in the Head. So I am going to right now put this link here for everybody to have.
And if you're going to be in Winter Garden on April 4th, they're having Lou Ferrigno at the store. So go meet the original Incredible Hulk.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Man, that guy's in great shape considering his age.
He's looking great for his age. Yeah.
Am I right? They've continued to use Lou Ferrigno's voice for the Hulk in the Marvel films too.
I think they have. I think for a long time they did use his voice, which I don't have an issue with.
I hope they're paying him though.
I hope so.
Sure.
I like that guy.
I
like Lou Ferrigno. I hope he's being taken care of, and he's always given me the impression that he's a nice guy. So yeah, Sean, I understand you got to do your thing. And we're all very thankful that you're here. I put the links here. You should check out Sean and what he's doing, and also he has the real Sean Crummell on YouTube. He's also on X. So yeah, go check him out.
Thank you very much.
All right, I'll see you later, man.
All right, have a good
Bye,
day.
Sean.
Have a good morning.
Take care.
See you.
All right, and at this point, I think what we should focus on is let me do my Ash.
Yeah, let's talk about let's hear your impressions of Ash, and we can wrap it up after that.
Right, that'll be our grand finale. Let me find Ash. I'm just wondering for a second because I'm wondering if I checked on Rotten Tomatoes what the score would be.
Oh, is it out already?
I saw it in a special screening yesterday. I haven't had a chance to even do anything. I was thinking of doing a smaller review maybe for this live channel. But you know what? I'm just going to hang out with you guys and tell you what I thought of the movie.
It's 74% on Rotten Tomatoes with 46 critics.
Okay. I'll tell you what it's not bad, but I'll tell you what I thought about it. First of all, the one thing I can say that I don't understand. Why is it showing a clip?
Oh, it was showing mine instead. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, okay. No, the only reason is I don't want to get claim or anything with the clip. That's the only reason I was asking. So basically, this movie, I didn't really know what to expect, and I knew very little about it. There's a guy called Flying Lotus that I think that he's like kind of like a record producer. He's more of a musician.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if he made like videos for himself or something like that at his own thing. He actually is the director of this movie, which generally on the surface would be something that would be like a red flag for me, because why would I think that that's worth anything? But I didn't really know anything. I went in the movie really not knowing anything, like I said, in advanced screening. And you know what? Not knowing this guy's background, not knowing that he's a record producer or whatever it is, I actually think that this guy has some pretty decent ideas. For starters, I think this movie looks like it was made very, very cheaply. Probably the cheapest movie that I've seen made for a while now, that's above just a regular indie that people are talking. This is something that you could tell that this was made on a shoestring budget, but still they wanted it to be like a sci-fi movie that was on like a planet, and you see the planet, you see like these kind of astronauts and things, and there's also a bit of horror and like creatures and all of this stuff. All things considered, considering the fact that I know it's not like a $500 million production like Disney Snow White, the fact that they spent probably, I couldn't imagine that this movie was made for more than $10 million. I think that, that's my guess. I could be wrong. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe with the effects a little more. I don't know, but that's what I would guess. In any case, I liked about the movie that there's something that feels small, that the people that are making it seem ambitious, and it's something that's missing in cinema, all of that kind of boardroom, movie by committee corporation thing. That this movie doesn't feel like that. It looks like this is a movie made by a guy that enjoyed Aliens, and he enjoyed movies like The Thing and Aliens, and did something kind of, that you could tell that he liked those movies, but it's kind of its own thing. So there was a lot here that like encouraged me, and I enjoyed the ambition. And overall, when I walked out, of the theater, I thought to myself, there was a lot to like here. And because the guy is actually a music producer, he actually did some pretty cool music for it as well. There are good things to take away from this movie. However, I will say this. What happens, and I don't want to ruin it in case people want to see it, it kind of starts off that things are very confusing. You see this, lady astronaut that wakes up like on a ship, and she's not 100% sure. She's trying to piece back memories of what exactly happened in this kind of scenario that she's in. And gradually, like, she starts piecing things together. This is in the poster. You see there's her and there's Aaron Paul, who's like a different astronaut. There's something that happens, an interaction between them, and there's a lot of other things happening that also involve aliens and things like that. I don't want to spoil it, but it's certainly interesting. But if I had to give some criticism, I'd say the first 30 minutes, all the thing that leads to her kind of piecing things together, there's parts that feel like maybe the pacing could have been better. Maybe that first half an hour really, really like test your patience because you're trying to get into it and figure out whatever is going on there. But I feel like somewhere in the second act, once this thing starts taking shape, there's enough to enjoy here. I'm not going to say that this is my favorite sci-fi movie that I've ever seen, but I will say that I like it, that there's an ambitious group of people that want to work together on a project that is not $500 million and want to do something kind of like a cool type of horror thing with a bit of sci-fi, and that they actually bothered to do this, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Interesting. So kind of an indie project then.
It feels very indie-ish, but you kind of are rooting for them. I can tell that this isn't like a big production. And at the same time, by the time it was done and there were certain things that I saw that they did here, I said, you know what? This feels, when you see a movie like Halloween is better than this, but I mean, when you see a movie like Halloween, the John Carpenter movie, and then you learn what a kind of a group of friends basically making a movie together, that's what that movie is. You know what I mean? These are people who are like great friends working as a crew, as a team, and you have that kind of spirit of people that are trying to figure out solutions. How do you do things, like even if you don't have the money, how do you work around it? How do you do cool things? And I feel like that spirit is what makes Halloween so good. I felt some of, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel, at least I felt some of that kind of spirit here, even without really anybody explaining it to me. That's the instinct that I had watching it. And with that being said, it's still not as good as Halloween. It's not flawless. I would have maybe done some things differently, but at the same time, I certainly appreciated the effort. And in the same way that I take a movie that's like $500 million, like the Snow White one, and I say, you know what? You don't deserve a ton of points, because for that amount of money, you should have had the best movie ever. Somebody that has maybe a few $1 million, let's say up to $10 million, and is trying to be so ambitious and doing something like this, I gotta appreciate that. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, that movie stars Isa Gonzalez. Do you know who she is besides kind of smoking hot?
I noticed that she was pretty pleasant looking. Yes, in the movie when I saw her, I'm like, oh, I think she looks pretty pleasant.
She was the runner-up that would have been casted as Rey if Daisy Ridley didn't get the part.
Oh, I like her better. I think that I like her better.
Oh yeah. She has that Ana de Armas thing going on.
She seems hotter to me, but personally, that's just my opinion.
She actually has a figure.
So I tried to look up the budget, and it said 250 million. But
that's not true. The reason
no, that's Avatar: Fire and Ash.
Right.
Like,
and it's been confusing AI because, like, when I googled it, like AIs are trying to answer me, and they're like, "It costs 400 million." I'm like, "There is no way. There is no way that movie looks like it was filmed in a basement." Like, I mean that like a basement with a green screen or whatever it is, and like a lot of work like that. But I don't mean it in a bad way. It's not like the kind of green screen that they have, like, you know, a football stadium green screen like in Disney. I mean, like, this looks like a very small setup.
Yeah, it definitely seems to have that alien thing vibe to it too. It looks interesting. Definitely. I've been getting into the smaller, intimate, claustrophobic movies, like, you know, The Gorge. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't without its flaws. And there was a movie 2 years ago, The Artifice Girl. Very small, limited production, but, you know, you could tell the you know, the filmmaker. It had Lance Henriksen in it. The filmmakers were passionate, and the movie definitely had you know, an intimacy to it, and the writing was really good.
I believe it. Haven't seen either of those, but I totally believe you.
Oh, you didn't see The Gorge?
I haven't seen The Gorge yet. Is it good?
No.
but
it's not bad.
It's
but
entertaining.
It has its interesting parts. It has some really good ideas that if they had been done better, if they'd been executed better, I think it could have been really fascinating. But they kind of speed run some stuff in the movie to the point where you're like, wait a minute, okay, wait, huh? Okay.
It would have made a better TV show, but
it could have, if they had time to kind of investigate a little bit more and expand on the ideas a little bit more. But I mean, it was okay. It was not great, but it was okay.
The first half actually had me on the edge of my seat. I think it's totally, even if you stop watching you'll know when I mean the middle. But The Artifice Girl was fantastic, and I had not heard of that movie. It came up on one of the streams. I watched it. There's like 4 people in the movie, and I don't want to say anything else about it. It's really good. It's sort of there's a movie Companion that was surprisingly good. The same, you know, sort of mid to low budget, but you could tell the people who were making it really cared. They had fine craftsmanship in the art of filmmaking. And again, the writing is so much better than what I've been used to over the past 8 or 9 years. Like people behaving like people would behave, and nobody having to be, you know, stupid in order to get something. Lack of contrivance gets a lot of points for me these days.
So, I guess I'm trying to think if I still had any comments on this. So, Asa Gonzalez. Yes, I liked her. I didn't mind her. A woman looking nice is always a plus, and she looked nice in this movie. And yeah, I think if I had to give my thoughts, I think that I like her look better than Daisy Ridley.
Oh yeah, she would have been. You know Paulie, the Latino slant?
Yeah, of course I do.
He knows her.
Oh,
yeah. Nice.
Well, good for him. She seems cool. So yeah, I don't dislike her. I think she would have. You know, men are very simple creatures. You put like a woman that looks nice. I think people are kind of receptive to that. I thought that she looked good. There's a lot of dark lighting in this movie. That's another thing that I'll say. I feel like because this is a shoestring budget, I think that their workaround here is a lot of it is like very kind of dimly lit in certain places. I don't always love it. I was okay. I still put up with it. It was all right. And I also understand the situation, but I do feel like it was very darkly lit. But even within the darkly lit, when you see her, you could tell that she looks nice. So there's that. Also, she has flashbacks to times that like were well lit. So yeah, it's very complicated to explain. Again, there is something here in the screenplay that maybe I would have switched up the pacing of it and gotten to some of the point a little quicker. But there were moments, especially in the second and third act, and especially in the third act, where I saw some stuff and I said, you know what, this is kind of cool. Really feeling that it was a small budget and what they were going for, and that they liked those kind of aliens movies and The Thing and whatever. I like that. So I think that 74 is a rather fair direction. Meaning, like, I wouldn't give this movie 100. I wouldn't say, oh, this is the best movie I've ever seen, but I would say that this is a promising movie. And I think that what they should do now is these type of directors, every time give them a little more money. If first of all, like, you know, he had like 5 or 10 million to work with, next time give him 15 million, then 20 million, then 30 million. Like, do it gradually so they actually improve from movie to movie, as opposed to the Disney model where they just take them and they're like, here's $500 million, we'll see you later.
Yeah. You directed some documentaries about native peoples in Uganda. Here, why don't you make a $235 million action flick?
Yeah, starring Jason Statham and Thor. Yeah, like, no, I mean, that's really what Hollywood is missing, the mid-budget movie. That's why we don't get any
creative ideas. Yeah, that's where you need the creativity, because if it's so high budget, nobody is willing to take a risk. And if it's a low budget, people are either taking too many risks and don't care, or they do something and there's not enough money, or people just don't see it. But Panda Kolima says, don't mention Polly around Price. Polly is very honest. Me and Polly are cool. Polly, you know, he has his own thing going. He does his own thing. Sometimes he and I agree on stuff. Sometimes we don't agree on stuff. But I don't have anything bad to say about Polly. And I think that if you asked him, I don't suppose that I don't suppose that he has something bad to say about me. We run in the same circles. And, you know,
Polly has very positive energy.
And he has cool hats.
Yes. We all love Polly. Everybody loves Polly.
Right. I mean, he does his own thing. And yeah, I mean, sometimes people don't agree on stuff, and that's also what makes it fun. I mean, sometimes you say, well, I did like it, I didn't like it. You know what I mean? People can only share whatever opinions they have. Polly sometimes I feel has like opinions that are a little either like, you know, I don't know how to explain it, but like sometimes he goes kind of against the grain and he has his own thoughts on something, and that's cool too. People can have their own opinions. We were just talking about that earlier.
He has well considered and reasonably argued opinions as well, even when I don't disagree. You know, this woman should have played Snow White. Holy crap.
Oh, wow. Yeah. She would. If she
I'd have been down.
Nobody would have said anything if she was Snow White. They'd be like, oh, she's hot. That's it. See, that's the thing that most people don't understand. If like at the height of like Jessica, not that I think she's not good looking today, but like I'm talking about like when Jessica Alba, during the time she was on Fantastic Four, if you would have dyed her hair like dark brown and said like she's Snow White, I think most people wouldn't give a shit. Like,
yeah, well, nobody cared she was Sue Storm.
Right. I mean, right? You see her like in the commercial, she's like she's looking super good. She's walking around with like the outfit and like the basket and apples and whatever. I think dudes would just be like, yeah, that's Snow White. What do we care? You know what I mean? Like, hot woman goes a long way. And man, I'm still saying like Rachel Zegler, I'm not saying, I think that people like, you know, are quick to say, oh, she's like, you know, saying that she looks bad or something like that. I don't think she looks bad. I think she looks okay. The thing is that Snow White can't just look, you know, okay or kind of cute or whatever. Snow White needed to be like the you know, the ultimate beauty. You know what I mean? You needed somebody that like you're blown away by her beauty. I feel like Rachel Zegler has more of like a little boy type of look.
I would like to.
I don't know how to explain this, Istophobos, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and you know what? It's not just women. I would like to remind our audience that in the 90s, we had a half Japanese Superman and nobody gave a shit. Nope. It was a fun show, and pretty much, you know, everybody who watched it loved it. That was Lois and Clark.
Panda Kalima, do we need to talk about the company man conversation? The thing is that I basically said that Jon Favreau was a company man at Disney, and I guess Paulie didn't agree with me. But the truth is, I still agree with myself. I think he is a company man, but Paulie is entitled to his opinion,
Yep.
even if it's a different opinion than mine. We can't just all be an echo chamber and just, listen to the same idea over and over again. Yeah, sometimes also in a conversation, people have different opinions, and they may even annoy each other with their opinions. That can happen too. But Paulie is in the same circle of people. We have like a circle of friends, all of us, and I got no issues with Paulie. So just making that clear.
See, there's the thing that when people have different opinions, it's if the reason they have that opinion is just because they want to be contrary, they want to start an argument, that's one thing. But when
Lofty.
it's someone that has
Andrew.
when it's somebody who actually has like, no, here's how I form this opinion, here's how I see this issue, here's and it's reasoned and thought through, like you hear with Paulie, then you have good conversations between people, right? When you have like these different reasoned opinions rather than just somebody trying to stir up shit. Sorry.
And here's an alien concept. We can disagree and still be friends.
Exactly.
Like I know.
Exactly.
And Paulie's actually changed my mind on a couple things because his reasoning was sound and he knew some stuff that I wasn't aware of. And I'm like, given that new information, I guess, what? You're right. So
also occasionally he and I agree on something. I mean, I think that when we both agree, it's actually fun, but sometimes we won't agree, and that's fine too. It's just
that's fine too.
People, that's what makes things interesting. I've also had arguments with Tom. If you ever like bring up Pink Floyd in a conversation between me and Tom, the stream goes off the rails. Like we start arguing about weird shit for like 30 minutes, and I think that anybody that brought it up is even regretful they even mentioned this thing once Tom and I start talking about Pink Floyd. So yeah, sometimes, but that's what's so cool, that you have people that are so passionate about something and they're willing to argue like that. I actually think it's great.
Tom is like the Pedro Pascal of YouTube. Like he's on every stream that I click on. Yeah.
He's in all the things.
You're bound to disagree with him at some point, but
all right.
I take it you were on the pro Pink Floyd side, Price?
Well, it's not that we're both pro and against Pink Floyd. It's just that I personally, when I think of Pink Floyd, I think of albums like Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here, Animals, Metal. These are things that are like speak to me. Whereas Tom is like The Wall. And I just, would tell him, and I've told this a few times, that for me, The Wall is like Pink Floyd for normies. Now, and when I say that, he like loses it. Like that is like, that's what usually triggers the thing that like for half an hour we're arguing. Because for me, I like Pink Floyd because of the music, and without like David Gilmour's musical skills, that band is not what it is. You can say whatever you want. Most of the songs that I want to listen to, the things that like I connect to the most are Gilmour singing, his guitar solos. That's exactly what I want to listen to. And even, I've seen him perform 4 times live, and these days I'm not looking to see Waters because he's a nutcase anyways, but I'm saying even years ago, for me, like, they're not together. The draw is in Waters. Haven't seen him perform once. I don't need like, Pink Floyd karaoke night with Roger Waters. For me, like, if I watch Gilmour, I am getting whatever I want to get from that show. Gilmour, even without anybody, just him and his own band, performs Pink Floyd songs, fantastic.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt that the best song on The Wall was actually taken from Gilmour's solo album. In typical fashion, you are correct, and Tom is wrong. So, yeah, it's one of those Beatles things. Either guy without the other, they don't have the magic. But definitely, by the time you get to The Wall, it's like all Roger Waters, and he's not the heart and soul of the band to me.
No,
Gilmour
and not
is.
only that, this is what I also try to explain to Tom. And by the way, Tom is right about a lot of stuff. It's not a matter of right or wrong. Wrong. It's also a matter of opinion, and he's certainly entitled to his. But the reason why I bring that up and I try to explain it, most bands, in the first 10, 20 years of their existence, that's when they're going to make any kind of mark, even like a legendary band. After 10, 20 years, there's only a certain amount of reinventing the wheel or breaking ground or doing something revolutionary. Most times you don't get that. If you get
10 years is a long time. Usually the most creative period of any band is only a couple. Like only the best bands have a 10-year stretch.
Right, and I think that Pink Floyd, within their first 10 years of existence, probably gave us like the best of what they're going to give us. Then what happened is that by the time the 80s came around, I feel like this is the point where they needed to just kind of go tour, do the songs that people like, and build that kind of thing that you're a touring band, that you have your iconic albums and you're performing them. And I think that Gilmour understood this much better than Waters. Waters was like, oh, like, you can't do this. You can't be Pink Floyd without me. You can't this. I'm leaving now. I dare you to be Pink Floyd without me. And all this weird crap. So they're just like, fine, like, screw you. You're just a jerk off anyways. We're just going to go be Pink Floyd. Screw you. So then he sued them and he's like, you can't be Pink Floyd. But because he told them that they should go be Pink Floyd without him, he lost the lawsuit. So basically, he got left without a band, and he's like tried to release some crap by himself, which sounded crappy. And you know what? You could say that from the moment Roger Waters wasn't there, it's not like Pink Floyd broke new ground. But even with him, the final album there wasn't good in the 80s, meaning I don't know that they'd break any new ground at that point anyways.
I don't think so.
It's just like the Rolling Stones. When people go see them perform, I dare you to find somebody in the crowd that knows what their last album is and what songs are on the last album. Nobody knows. They have like 50 million albums. The truth is, people want to hear Satisfaction, Jumping Jack Flash, Wild Horses, I don't know, Start Me Up. There's like a list of things that people, probably we could put together 10 to 15 songs that people are expecting. And trust me, when they go to the show, they are getting those songs.
Yeah, and Waters had a lot of daddy issues he had to work at. The Wall's a good album, don't get me wrong, but by that point they had already peaked. They had Metal, they had Wish You Were Here, they had Dark Side of the Moon and Animals. Who puts out 4 of those in a row? That is amazing.
Absolutely. And Ken Lee says, except for King Crimson, aka Robert Fripp and Helpers, King Crimson is a great band, and I especially like Court of the Crimson King, and I especially like the song Epitaph.
Oh, and talk about breaking new ground. That band sort of reinvents itself every 4 or 5 years. You have the Bill Bruford, Tony Levin era that was in like the 80s and 90s. You had the really early stuff with Michael Giles, Court of the Crimson King. You had John Wetton from...
honestly, for me, Court of the Crimson King, and maybe... what is it? Do they have... remind me a few of their other albums.
Lark's Tongues and Aspic was kind of their middle phase there. There was the Trio, which was...
was there something with a lizard? With a lizard something?
Yeah. I have to look it up.
King Crimson.
Man, I used to have all that stuff down by memory, but I'm an old man. So.
Yeah, I used to have it too. There's an album called Lizard by King Crimson. I like that one.
Yeah.
I like Court of the Crimson King. There's certainly...
the Wake of Poseidon, Starless and Bible Black, that was John Wetton from Asia. They had a few good ones. Red was awesome. That was the Wetton era peak. And then Tony Levin brought his Chapman stick in, and that's when we got Red and Beat and Three of a Perfect Pair.
DJ Play Nice says, Final Cut was good, not great. Pros and cons of Hitchhiking is severely underrated. Radio Chaos was
I think
crap.
The album cover was severely underrated.
Amused to Death was all crap. Okay. Personally, I did listen to Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking and Chaos and Amused to Death. I suppose if I was pushed to say which of the three is the better one, it would probably be the Pros and Cons. But honestly, DJ Play Nice, I didn't even like that one. I felt like all the things that were starting to annoy me about Pink Floyd that started in The Wall and went in the Final Cut was that, like, I heard too much of Roger Waters whining and like thinking that he's on Broadway, like serenading people. He's not that kind of singer. And his songs started becoming annoying, and you could tell that he was trying to dictate the musical style of what was going on in the band, and that's not what should happen. Gilmour, if you don't let Gilmour play his guitar and bring his cool vibe to the music and be sort of like a musical producer, if you don't let him do his job, your songs are going to sound like not so great. And when it comes to the final cut, I wouldn't say that it was even good. I'd say there's a few songs on it, mainly things that Gilmour did well, that give it something that you may not dislike. But the album itself, when I look at it as a whole, is probably my least favorite Pink Floyd album.
And by the way, the last Stones album is Tattoo You. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And you could make a case for Emotional Rescue. They have like 30 albums since then, but nobody remembers a single song from there.
It doesn't matter at some point. Once you're like in that kind of pantheon of bands, like it doesn't matter. You're almost just doing it just to for the sake of doing something, like, you know. And that's why I think that David Gilmour was smart. He saw the final cut was whatever momentary lapse of reason. It's not fantastic. It has Learning to Fly. It has a few songs that are decent. Not the best album. Still more pleasant for me than probably the final cut. Although the final cut did have a few things I liked in it. I thought Pulse was probably the best that Pink Floyd could do without Waters. And again, it felt like a bit of a greatest hits. There's songs that you've heard before that it kind of was a wink to them. They didn't really break new ground. The only thing I will say is that Pulse has High Hopes, which to me, out of all the post-Waters material, High Hopes could have been in the height of Pink Floyd. Meaning that song is just as good, in my opinion, than things that they did even with Waters there. They did manage to deliver that in High Hopes.
Well, the proof is when I go see Gilmour, it sounds like Pink Floyd. When I go see Roger Waters, it didn't sound like Pink Floyd.
Have you seen Waters live?
Yeah, twice. Late in early 90s.
I see. I've seen Gilmour 4 times.
Yeah, he's incredible.
I've seen Waters 0 times, and I don't regret it. I'm so happy I saw Gilmour 4 times. I like, that's the one thing that I really the satisfaction I feel from like that I saw it 4 times, because I don't know how many more times that will even be available. So I really like his music. I like his performances. I saw 4 of them, and I feel good about it.
Oh, speaking of douchebags, were you able to watch Aaron Paul and Ash without thinking about what a asshole he is?
I was. I mean, the thing is, yeah, he had that stupid thing that he did, the that stupid video that he's blabbing about.
I am responsible.
You know, it's cringe and it's stupid, but even though it's cringe and stupid and he feels like an idiot doing it, it doesn't feel like a Zegler. He didn't go and attack like all the people in the world. He seems like a clueless idiot celeb that, like, you know, got caught up in some stupid campaign. But I haven't, until today, maybe I haven't been looking, I haven't felt anything really malicious from him, as much as you just seem like an idiot there.
Oh, I think he's made a couple comments about Trump and Trump supporters that, but like nowhere near, he's not going around, you know, screaming support Hamas or anything. He's no Rachel Zegler, but.
No, I understand that. I mean, I again, the fact that I don't even know what he said and it's not as widespread, it's not like whatever happened with Zegler. She's like, everybody that voted for whatever, no peace, whatever, all this weird crap. I don't think he was like that. I don't know what he said or not, but it didn't feel like, you know, the end of the world. Whatever I saw until today didn't really, you know, get flagged as something that like, oh, he's unbearable. I can never. I mean, if I had an issue with every actor that said something stupid I didn't agree with, I couldn't watch any movies or shows. Unfortunately, you know, the majority of them usually say something stupid, but also I'm not like that. If you're an actor and you can act, it's fine. Also, you know, sometimes people say stuff and it's stupid and I don't have to agree with them. The thing that becomes more of an issue for me is when they become like, you know, like bitter old, like crazy wackos, like a Mark Hamill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He blabs so much and he talks so much that at some point it's hard not to ruin his image. It's like, it's not just that he once said, hey, you know what, I support this guy. Fine, you can support whoever you want. It's the fact that like, that he started like attacking people that actually pay money to see him in his conventions. He doesn't even care sitting there and like cursing out the same people that paid to see him that day. That to me is super disrespectful. That's that's disrespectful on a level that like annoys me. It's like, you're not a politician. You're also not a perfect guy based on stuff that we know about you. You're far from perfect. You're a bitter, angry person, and it really is a bad vibe. You know what I mean? Considering that he was Luke Skywalker, it is such a bad vibe.
And you charge $800 for an autograph.
Also, Caleb Levine said De Niro. See, De Niro, I actually, I really like his acting, and there's so many movies I liked him in. It's really sad for me how much this guy can keep his mouth shut these days. I mean, it's one thing. It's like I said, it's one thing if you're like, hey, sometimes celebrities walk around and at the airport or some paparazzi is like, hey, who did you vote for? Somebody comes up to him and say, hey, who are you voting for? Who did you vote for in the election? And he says, hey, I kind of liked, Kamala, but she didn't, whatever. So if he said that and walked away, I'd be like, okay, fine, that's his opinion, and that's what he voted for. I don't care. But that's not what he does. He's been like, anytime you give him a microphone, he has like a complete TDS meltdown. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He has a terminal case of TDS.
That's the problems. And really, Robert De Niro is not a perfect man. There's enough things that Robert De Niro has done that's not perfect. Don't want to again mention this, but I don't want to. I'm going to be using my words carefully here. I'm not suggesting that he did something personally, but I'm saying that the whole just for what happened with Belushi, with John Belushi, I feel like just for that, if I was Robert De Niro, I wouldn't be blabbing too much.
Yeah,
if you understand what I'm saying.
I understand, and your words are careful. Yeah.
No, because if you remember, I believe one of the last people to see Belushi alive was Robert De Niro, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that Robert De Niro could have called for help or done something different, but however, whatever last time that Belushi was seen, it ended with Robert De Niro basically just leaving.
Yeah, like he didn't even try to get help.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is this. Let's just say, okay, he's a human being. He went there. He saw it was kind of a mess, and he left, okay? But somehow there's a feeling that maybe more could have been done. Maybe it's a gray area. But even if you had that kind of in your past and on your record, wouldn't that be a kind of person that maybe you don't sit around and judge everybody all day? You know what I'm saying? Like, just that alone would keep me from like judging everybody every second. That would be something that like weighed on me.
And that's hardly the only thing,
No, there's been other stuff about him over the years. There are little things, a bunch of stuff. This guy is not, it's not like everything he's done is great. And it's fine. As long as he was just appearing in movies and just doing roles that people like and iconic roles and things like that, I didn't care. People have their personal lives. People make mistakes. And as long as he wasn't doing anything that like, is not really hurting me personally or whatever it is, it's fine. Not that he's hurting me now. It's just like, man, nobody wants to hear your shit. It's fine. You voted for somebody, vote for that person. The amount of like, when you become obsessed, like we keep saying, these kind of derangement syndrome is when they can become obsessed and all they talk about is that.
Yeah, and anybody who takes a private jet everywhere but insists on telling me how to live my life to save the planet, I'm inclined not to listen to.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
John Kerry.
But I think that now that we've covered all of these wonderful topics,
man, we get around, don't we?
Yeah, all over the place. Yeah, we want to thank everybody who's watching the stream tonight, those who are in the chat, as well as those who are just watching along. And again, if you haven't taken the opportunity, we'd really appreciate if you would follow us on Rumble, leave us a thumbs up, or subscribe to the channel on YouTube and give us a thumbs up there, wherever. And really want to appreciate those who are hanging out with us in the chat tonight. So we had Ben Dowdy, Caleb Levine, Citizen 42, Contra Mortem, Cosgrave, DJ Play Nice, Dude Bro Seth 420, Elizabeth Quince, Empress NM, Hypno Crab, Ignatz Mouse Esquire, Istophobos, that sounds familiar, James Caserta, Jamalama, Johnny Reaper, Jonathan Conroy, Joshua Culkins, Justin Cook, Kivo 1961, Ken Lee, Loyosh, Marla Sharondoff, Murrockstro, Num, One Dirty Bird, Pandecolima, Phantom Monk, Pyromancer, Rocket Fuel, Sean Green, Stephen Mack, Shield Wall of Dragons, SWD 40, The Dead Man, The Devastator, Tim Hayes, not Tim Haynes, Tim Hayes, Vikash Kumar 90, Void King, William. I think I got just about everybody in there, unless somebody popped in here in just these last few minutes. But if there's anybody else, we probably want to go back and just mention again. We did get some super stickers from Istphobos, the Dead Man, a super chat from the Dead Man, a sticker from Empress NM, and Istphobos gifted 5 Price of Reason Live memberships. And we received a couple of Rumble rants tonight. One from Kivo 1961, and we got another from One Dirty Bird. So we really appreciate all the support this evening. Thanks for hanging out with us and chatting with us. And
and thanks to our guest, Istophobos.
Yes,
thanks for joining
absolutely.
us.
Thank you, guys. Can I give a shout out to Marla Sharondoff's petition? I signed it the other day. She's trying to protect her sister.
Absolutely, yes. You should sign. I signed it also. So if you guys get a chance, you go ahead and tell this.
Yes.
I'll stop talking.
Well, I think her sister is the Meryl Streep of voice acting, Tara Strong, and there's some creeper on the internet that's been really giving her a hard time. I don't have the link, but I think if you Google her name, or she can give you the name of the guy. Somebody. You can find the petition on change.org. It's just like asking people to get the guy some help, which will also help everybody else involved. I think it's a worthy cause. They're not trying to be horrible. The guy's clearly disturbed, and he
cyber stalking, weird stuff. Yeah. So
okay, let me try to find. I think I know where this petition is, so let me find it.
Also, though, there's another unacceptable
it's
views
win-win.
in the chat.
Everybody gets the help they need. Hopefully.
Here, I put Professor's X account. Now I put the change.
Empress NM. This was a high fiber stream tonight.
So we have. I put in the change.org petition to help Marla Sharondoff and her sister. So you should check that out. And then in addition to that...
Oh, did I lose everybody? It got real quiet.
No, can you hear me? Istophobos? Istophobos, Can you hear me? Professor?
I can hear you. I think Istophobos must have gotten disconnected for a minute or something. So.
Oh, can people hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, let's hope people can hear me.
Yeah.
So what was I going to say? There was something else before I forget. Oh, Istophobos. Let me find his Twitter. Give me a second. Istophobos. Just in case you want to follow him. See, I'm getting more tech savvy, Professor. I shared some links.
Look at that.
Finally, I've impressed the professor. Let me see. There was one other thing. Oh, okay. This is really dumb, but I'll do it anyways. In the past, on this channel that you're watching now, I would do karaoke from time to time. The thing is that when you do karaoke, it kind of opens your channel up to sometimes, artists suddenly hear a song and they, there's claims and people don't like that and whatever. I don't want to mix and match. This channel, I'm going to reserve it more for just, straight up live streams. But because I know some people like the karaoke and like maybe unexpected things, like maybe playing video games or playing different things, I wanted to have a different channel where I can do that, which is why I started something called Price of Reason Confidential, or for short, POR Confidential. And if you're not already sub to that, you should definitely sub if you want something. These are really out there streams. They're not, people singing. There's going to be music, karaoke, games. It's just a whole different thing. But still, could be interesting if you're interested in that. And I'm giving the option so that people that want it's pork. That's funny. I didn't intend to it, but like I said, at least it wasn't Price of Reason News, because that would have been a more difficult acronym to work with.
You can call it the price of karaoke, because that's what it costs you to.
Price of karaoke. Yeah, that's good too. In any case, that is probably it's good if you like that kind of thing. So you're welcome to join it. Again, I explained it's a very kind of almost like a top secret experimental type of things going on. Up to you. And on that wonderful note, I think we've said goodbye to everybody. I want to thank our host and our guests. So Professor R2, thank you so much for being here. Do you have anything you want to plug? Is Adam Gray feeling better? Are you doing B-roll?
I am not on B-roll. I think they're still planning to do that tomorrow night, as far as I know, but I have not heard anything in that vein. So hopefully they're going to be doing that again tomorrow night at the usual time. But yeah, no updates on certainty on that one. Yeah.
All right, cool. I hope that him and Barbara feel better. I've been saying that for a few days now. I feel like I haven't seen them around, and that's why I'm hoping they're okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks guys for having me on. It's been a pleasure as usual, and
pleasure.
Thanks everyone in chat for sacrificing their morning.
No, it's fun, man. It was great having you again. Big thank you to Phobos, and I put his link to his X here if you guys want to follow him. And on that wonderful note, I think we'll just say goodbye.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Take care.
Bye.